Good afternoon, everyone. I would like the Collab Group with the PCU, Transnational Education and Extension Program, would like to welcome each and everyone, most especially to our graduate school students, both in the Master's and PhD's program, to your Session 1 of the Thesis Project Seminar course. We made mention in our last orientation or general orientation rather, that we shall have a series of webinar sessions. These are discourses among experts in the field of research across discipline, and we shall be talking about the nuances on how do we go about an impact research. That would be our terminal requirement, to our diploma, whether in the master's or in the PhD program that we are enrolled in. As we begin, may I request each and everyone to be in silence as we offer this community prayer, not only to ourselves, to the students of PCU, but to the rest of the world, that we all know that we are not in these good times with this pandemic, and then with our situations. We definitely wish to have the strength, which is, we believe, that is coming from the Father. And with this strength, we can make ourselves more productive in these trying times. So let us pause for a while for our prayer.
Let your servant go in peace, for your word has been fulfilled. Lord, let your servant go in peace, for your word has been fulfilled. A child shall be born to the Virgin, and his name shall be called Emmanuel. Lord, let your servant go in peace, for the word has been fulfilled. My own eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all men. Lord, let your servant go in peace, for your word has been fulfilled. The night shall reveal to the nations, and the glory of your people Israel. Lord, let your servant go in peace, for your word has been fulfilled. Lord, let your servant go in peace, for your word has been fulfilled. Lord, let your servant go in peace.
Together with our own personal intentions, we offer all this into your great name, O Lord. Amen. In the name of the
Amen.
Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I would like to call on our director for the Transnational Education and Extension Program, Dr. Margie de la Cruz, to give her opening remarks. Good afternoon, Doc Margie.
Good afternoon. Allow me to greet you all a warm Christian greetings of peace and a very pleasant afternoon as well. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar series entitled Demystifying Research Output for Graduate Program, spearheaded by Collab and of course, Philippine Christian University team and the Graduate School of Business and Management. We are very grateful to the administration of PCU led by our president, Dr. Junifen F. Gawan, for the tremendous support they have provided as host, and to this webinar series organizing committee, particularly to Doc Matt Malaking and Associates, whose members have put together an engaging program like this. We are fortunate to have the support of a great team of resource speakers who we will get to meet during this webinar series. As you know, there are a wide range of reforms in the research department under Dr. Jaime Ang. The speakers in the program are uniquely placed to elaborate on this and highlight the key themes, trends, and current practices for the graduate students. Especially interesting will be to learn the new priorities and developments from several academic point of views when it comes to research. The wonderful thing about this webinar is the international perspective which some of our speakers will bring to this series, like Dr. Vera from Russia. That is why this series theme is Demystifying Research Output for Graduate Program. I am very glad we found a selection of them that are experts and well prepared to speak to you about their lessons learned over the past years and also to look ahead in the panel after this welcome address. And I already wish to note that we have something special in store for later today to recognize them. Before coming to close these welcome remarks, I would like also to remind you, especially our moderators, to strictly stick to our time schedule and not to let any session overrun. Also be mindful of your videos and microphone during presentations so as to avoid any unnecessary background noise or inappropriate images that might bring distractions to our speakers and audiences. Kindly put your mic and videos off now. I sincerely hope you will enjoy today and the next 2 days of this webinar series. Thank you for your participation and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Margie de la Cruz. Indeed, I think the word there is collaborative. So this is indeed a collaborative effort by the students, our colleagues in international or in the regions, that they are also willing to share with us their expertise. And of course, the leadership of PCU, headed by the president and of course, Dr. Margie de la Cruz. So we thank you so much. And at this juncture, let me call on the director of PCU for research and publication to give us, sorry, before that, no, we shall, sorry, okay, to give us the research pathways before the agenda of PCU on research specifically, we have to listen first, of course, to our leader, President, Dr. Junifen Guanan, to give us the pathways leading towards the high impact research for our students for the graduate school of PCU. Good afternoon, President.
Good afternoon. Okay, can I share now my Yes. Good afternoon to everybody. Actually, I was tasked by Dr. Matt to present the memorandum, which is the policies and procedures for research. And so I have prepared this presentation. I'll just go fast through it, but I actually sent a copy to Dr. Mateo to share to each and every one of us. So this is like a general presentation because we have students in the field of economics, business, health, engineering, development, and we are concerned, number one, based on our experience with thesis problems, frameworks that are being constructed to make these theses and dissertations. And so therefore, I made this presentation two parts. The first is to explain comprehensively on the formulation of research problems and topics. And the second part basically is the uh, PCU policies and procedures or format for making research. So you don't have to really uh, memorize and understand, just take note because I already sent Dr. Matt the PDF and you can download it. And if you have any questions later on, we can discuss it. So if you'll allow me to briefly brush on this presentation. How to write incisive theses and dissertations. There are many theses, but they are not incisive. That's why I'm very much concerned with the word incisiveness, because that is the uh, number one concern of research, to be cutting edge. First of all, I would like to show you about the PhD Competency Network. We have to be concerned with this competency framework. If you're taking Master of Management, or it's the same thing, it's the same framework. But as you can see here, there are academic research competencies that are related to intellectual competencies, which we have to safeguard very much and to develop in each and every one of our students in the preparation of their respective researches. There are different research levels and they have different competency goals. Undergraduate research must show knowledge of basic theories and professional competencies through term papers and undergraduate thesis. Masteral research must demonstrate knowledge of more advanced theories and practices for specialized professional applications. That's why we call it master, because we have to master. There's some sort of mastery. If it is in business, you master marketing or finance or human resource management or operations research. But doctoral research must question or develop new theories and principles to generate cutting-edge knowledge and innovative applications. So there must really be something that is totally or either totally new or partially new, and improvement that provides innovation or in science, technology, in whether it is social, business, or physical sciences. Generally speaking, a research problem is a statement of an area of concern, condition to be improved, difficulty to be illuminated, a troubling question that exists in scholarly literature, in theory or in practice that require deliberate investigation for clearer understanding and appropriate action. Research problems are triggered by issues, ideas, topics, questions and concerns, contradictions or gaps in knowledge that need to be clearly and comprehensively understood using research processes, models, and theories. Research problems are also triggered by occurrences of external environmental factors that threaten or destroy the capability of organizations to do business, such as wars, natural calamities, accidents, pandemics, competition, new technologies, laws, and government policies. Okay, so all these things trigger problems, research problems. Research problems are likewise triggered by weaknesses in internal processes of the organization, such as leadership and teamwork, skills and competencies, organizational design, systems, and technologies that prevents it from becoming a high-performance organization. A high-performance organization, we may ask, is one which achieves excellent operational and financial results consistently. Is characterized by strong leaders, empowered, coached, and engaged employees, a focus on continuous improvement, and transparency and uh, uh, transparency and what's it? Transparency. Okay. Okay. So these are examples of these are the characteristics of a high performance organization. So any weaknesses that prevents us from becoming a high performance organization, it becomes a problem, can become a problem of research.
Oh, tingnan mo yung ano namin.
Research problems are likewise triggered by the search for opportunities like business growth and diversification, scientific discoveries and innovation, social and economic development that result in short-term and long-term benefits to stockholders and stakeholders. Before problems and opportunities can be properly identified and framed, it is advisable to conduct a simple strategy analysis to identify critical problems that need to be solved and recognize attractive opportunities that can be exploited. So this is a sample of a strategic planning process. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. And in performing this process, we need certain frameworks. Okay, and examples of these frameworks are the SWOT by Albert Humphrey, Strategy Diamond by Hambrick and Fredrickson, Five Forces Rivalry by Michael Porter. If basic strategy analysis is performed, the researcher will be sure that the research title and research problem can be easily formulated, and the required contribution of new knowledge can be easily defined in terms of business results, services, products, social and scientific knowledge, and new technologies. In addition to strategy analysis, a logical framework analysis may also be done to pinpoint the boundaries of the research. Logical framework analysis describes the flow of cause and effects within an organization, from inputs that undergo process to generate outputs that elicit beneficial outcomes for the customers and the beneficial impacts to society.
Sir, excuse
Yes?
me, sir. Wala po. Hindi po nasi-share yung
Di ba?
nile-lecture niyo, sir. Opo.
Saan na nag-umpisa sa
Research problem, sir.
Okay, research problem. Okay. Okay. Ulitin natin.
Our last slide is the trigger 2.
Trigger 2. Okay. Last slide is trigger 2. Dito. Okay. This is the last slide. This one. Okay. So ito, tapos na, no? Yan. Okay.
Yes po.
Okay, so we start with this. Okay.
Yes, yun na po. Trigger.
Yeah, slideshow from current slide. Ba't ayaw? Teka.
Sir, trigger sa trigger 3 po. Trigger 3.
Nasa trigger 3 na tayo.
Opo.
Ayan, dito.
That's it, President.
Okay, slideshow. Current slides. Okay. Teka, bakit ayaw, ano? Sandali bakit ayaw? Just a minute. Naging dalawa. Trigger 3. Okay, can you see it? Nakikita ba nyo?
Not yet, President.
Not yet, teka.
Screen share niyo po, sir.
Yan. Okay. Slideshow. Okay. Can you see it now?
We don't have. Okay, that's it.
Okay na po, okay na po.
Okay. Okay, so the first trigger are the issues. The second trigger are the problems. Okay, the third trigger are the opportunities. Okay, so these are samples of opportunities. Okay. Okay, and then, okay, parang ano lang yan. So the ideas about different opportunities in the environment. So before problems and opportunities can be properly identified, it is advisable to conduct a simple strategy analysis, okay, to identify problem and attractive opportunities. And can you see this example, strategic planning process? Okay.
Yes po, sir. Yes po.
Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in doing this, you need frameworks, okay, strategic planning framework. So this is just a review also. Okay, so we have the SWOT, strategy diamond, then competitive rivalry. If basic strategy analysis is performed, the researcher will be sure that the research title and research problem can easily be formulated. We have plenty of experience. They're already advanced in their research, but they cannot even define the problem. And the research, the title is not congruent with the methods and of course, in many unsupervised, medyo hindi na supervised ng mga thesis and dissertation, the findings do not answer the research title and the research problem. And so therefore, when we do strategy analysis, we'll be sure that we can fully formulate a research title, a research problem, and we can easily define what is the contribution of our research. Okay. Kasi tinatanong namin, we ask our, in many instances, oh, what knowledge does your research contribute? Cannot be answered. They cannot answer. What's the problem in the first place? So what's the contribution? It cannot be answered. So we have to be very concerned about this before we allow our researchers to move forward. In addition to strategy analysis, a logical framework analysis may also be done to pinpoint the boundaries of the research. Okay, this is used in total quality management and in formulating programs and projects. Okay, so this is called the organizational efforts and results. Okay, this is the internal organization. We have the inputs: human, physical, marketing, technical, financial, and then the processes that convert these inputs into outputs, which are the people. So we have the leadership, teamwork, competency, system, and technology. And these outputs are knowledge, programs, projects, services, and products delivered to its clients and customers that produce certain outcome for clients and customers in terms of physical, psychological, financial, and social satisfaction and benefits. And if consolidated on a larger scale, it produces social impacts. Okay, so with using this tool also, we'll know the boundaries of our research, whether we are only concerned with the internal organization or with the customer or with society. or we are concerned with the functions of the business, or we are concerned with usually human organizational and human development and technology development concerned with process management. When we talk about output, we talk about performance management and evaluation. So research and performance evaluation is proper. And when we talk about outcomes, it is also an outcomes evaluation. Also impact can be an impact evaluation. And in those researches, outcomes and impacts evaluation, we try to go back and find the roots of the problems that may arise from outcomes and impacts, from the output, from the processes, and from the inputs. So this logical framework is also a good tool for identifying research boundaries and formulating research topics. Okay, logical framework analysis clarifies the research discipline, whether research is focused on any or a combination of management functions. Logical framework analysis also clarifies the research scale, which shows the different levels, scope, and complexity of a research. In business and social researches, scope of research may be within internal organization or covers an industry or sector of society. Other disciplines like health, ecology, and public administration have their own research scales. So in ecology, research can be at the level of the individual, population, community, ecosystem, or biosphere. In health, okay, so there are also different scales of research in health. In terms of the depth of accessing knowledge, there are also different techniques. For instance, if our research is, we would like to know what people say or think, our technique is interview, the knowledge we get is explicit. If we want to know what people do and use, our technique is observation, our knowledge is observable knowledge. But if we want to know how people feel and dream, the technique to be used is generative sessions, and the knowledge we generate is tacit and latent. In business, generative research elicits understanding of who your customers are. It allows researchers to assess how people will actually behave or decide, which is different from what they usually saw. Research is driven, therefore, by strategic issues, problems, and opportunities. A researcher must be familiar with the phenomena surrounding the research issue, problem, opportunity, such as a researcher must have personal perceptions and observations, must have report of incidents and events, must have validated facts and occurrences, and must have knowledge of actual condition, operation, activities of the topic of his research. It is observed by some sectors that graduate education today is sophisticated in form but wanting in substance. There is general difficulty in framing the correct research problems and methodologies. It is highly desirable to formulate strategy-driven research topics, especially for business and management research, because they focus research towards the development needs of the organization. Examples are as follows. So, strategy-driven research topic from the scanning of external environment. Managers know how to manage the present, but leaders know how to anticipate the future. It is best to solve the problem when it has not yet arrived. So as we all know, scanning the external environment is like wanting to foretell the future. And the examples of issues or problems that we have to consider in the external environment are as follows. Okay, legal environment, skills development, scope of programs and services, training, sustainability, alliances, corporate image. We also have strategy-driven research topics from scanning of the internal environment. There's a quotation that says, wisdom is the ability to recognize your own ignorance and weaknesses. So some of these issues of the internal environment where problems or opportunities can arise are in terms of core competencies. And they are the questions that we have to ask that can be the basis for formulating our problems. Management system, organizational structure, management information and control, synergies, physical infrastructure, professional competence of personnel, resource management, risk management, okay, global sustainability, demographic sustainability. There are also popular research topics from the internet. And there's a saying, to steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. It is a joke that is sometimes true. And here is an example of a flowchart of a research strategy. You can choose your topic, find the background information, finding materials. Okay, so you can use this flowchart of search strategy for a proper topic that you can make as a research. So, and these are examples of topics for PhD in management in the internet. Now, this is the second part, which is the thesis and dissertation format that is contained in the memorandum that Dr. Matt have informed you about. So when you make your thesis and dissertation, just follow this step by step. Okay. Okay, so total word count of 1,600 to 2,200 words. First is the introduction. So provide introduction based on the following: the research discipline, okay, and the research scale. So this will be self-explanatory, as I have sent you a copy of this. Word count is 100 to 150 words. Rationale, identify the real world, scientific, technological, economic, social, business, organizational, and human problem that research will try to better understand and or solve, or the pervading opportunities that the research will strive to identify and explore. Word count, 100 to 150 words. So you simply answer this step by step, answer. Then there's number 3, research objective A. Identify the research potential contribution to knowledge. Okay, under this is also a guide, A, letter I, of what is the potential research, what is the research potential contribution to knowledge. Okay, so you try to look if is this appropriate for your research. Okay, if not, then look for another. Is your research about collaboration and elaboration? So this is a guide for you to assess what kind of research are you making. Is it about falsification and contradiction of an existing model? Is it drawing together 2 or more existing ideas? Is it developing and testing a new concept? Is it implementing someone's framework or principle? Is it an empirically based characterization of a phenomenon? Is it providing a taxonomy of observed phenomena? Or is it a well-founded critique of existing theory or evidences? Then B, you clarify your contribution to knowledge by explaining the following. The importance of the question. Why is the question worth asking? The significance of the finding. Why do these findings matter? What are their implications for theory, methodology, and practice? What are the limitations to generalization of the findings? So you answer, just answer this. Okay, these are just comments. No, research work is part of an ongoing discourse. It's critiquing the available evidence, providing fresh arguments and evidence to contribute to new knowledge. Research involves questioning the accepted wisdom to create new understanding of the world. As more evidence is presented, existing explanations are re-evaluated. So these are just comments regarding that the previous objective. Okay, research objective C. Identify how the research will support and amplify the achievement of relevant development goals. Okay, so that's simple to answer. Identify the professional competences that will be gained by the student and specify the type of research that will be undertaken. Okay, is it exploratory, descriptive, explanatory, or evaluative? Specify research questions and objectives. Is it policy debates? Is it theoretical debates? Is it the nature of practice in some field? So word count, 100 to 200 words. Then we go to the review of literature. Okay. So I'll just run to you these texts and we'll briefly explain the word count is 600 to 750. Okay, so this is a guide for literature review. So to have to develop coherent synthesis of past and present research in the domain of study. This is the main purpose of the literature review. So for instance, where is existing knowledge thin? Which work is subject to challenge? Where are the gaps in literature? Which existing work could be extended? So this will guide you in writing the literature review. Following your review of literature, outline how you plan to go about collecting empirical data, test hypotheses, and to carry out your study. So, types of educational research. Okay, so these are the types of educational research. There are quantitative, survey, causal study, correlation, single subject, quasi-experimental, and there are qualitative, content analysis, historical, ethnographic. Okay, research by practitioners is action research. Types of business research. Specifically, this section must describe your overall approach, methods and techniques of data collection, data analysis, research quality issues, and research ethics. The proposal requires that you have made firm arrangements with your target for access to data prior to writing the proposal, rather than describing that you plan to seek access to your target after the proposal is written. So you must already have access or a clear idea how you will get your data when you submit your research proposal. Okay, research design. A overall approach, this will be either qualitative or quantitative. Okay. Okay, so qualitative, quantitative, there's also mixed method. Okay, types of qualitative research. See here the types, narrative, case study, and the approaches, data collection methods, analysis are here for your guidance. Types of quantitative research, they are here also, okay, for your guidance. Then methods, techniques of data collection, for example, qualitative approach and quantitative approach. Okay, so comparison of research methods, characteristics and differences of qualitative and quantitative research, qualitative and quantitative research. So you can just, okay, read that. Then describe your chosen methods and explain why they are appropriate techniques for achieving your research. Okay, how will you analyze the data collected? Okay, so using statistical methods, you have descriptive method, you have inferential methods. Okay, research quality issues. Explain how you will ensure that you collect the right data to address the research questions or hypotheses. This requires some discussion about validity and reliability of your data and what triangulation techniques, if necessary, have been employed to strengthen the validity and reliability of your data. Okay, so here you must have reliability and validity. So reliability is the extent to which the outcomes are consistent when the experiment is repeated more than once. Validity is the extent to which the instruments that are used in experiment measure exactly what you want them to. Okay, so synthesis and triangulation among multiple sources and information can also be employed. So there are studies about perceptions, there are documentations, there are validations. So you can make a study whether the different types of study concerning same subjects or same topics are congruent with each other. And in that manner, you're able to synthesize and triangulate. So that's a separate study by itself. Your findings should also be generalizable rather than only valid for the particular phenomenon you studied. Okay. Okay, so here conclusions, observations, these are your generalizations. Study, when you describe the study, you have suggestions for future study. So all of these are recommendations and generalizations. Okay, doing any of these reflect a sense of immaturity and lack of objectivity on the part of the researcher. Broad generalizations not adequately supported by research data. Speculations or assumptions not supported by findings. Opinionated statements or inclusive and sweeping statements not supported by research evidence must also be avoided. Okay. Research ethics and issues. Does your research design present any possible danger to your subjects? 500 to 700 word. So, okay. Ethical do's for research, ethical don'ts, and there are more. So, but these are the basic ones. Then conclusion, summarize your proposal, including your potential contribution to knowledge. So actually, this will end now, the format, and then just include the references, and you have the the text here to guide you. Okay, okay, and it's done. Okay, so thank you very much for allowing me to share, and I have provided you this for your reference. Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Junifen. That was indeed comprehensive, insightful. You did not just lead us to uh, entice research interest among our students, but also you gave us opportunities how the students can strategize research. And not only that, you lead us through the rigor of research, and hopefully we can accomplish the task, whether it is on the project seminar track or on the thesis track among our students in the master's degree program. Now, to trickle it down to the PCU realm of what research is expected among our students, may we call on our next speaker. So our next speaker is the Research and Publication Director of PCU, Dr. Jaime G. Ang. Good afternoon, Dr. Jaime.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po. You can share anytime, sir. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I would just like to thank you for the invite this afternoon uh, and the talk, which is very, very important, has something to do with research. So may I just, on my part, I am very happy to note that research is being really it has received such an attention as far as the university is concerned. Let it be said that for a university to be ranked as a university, it has to focus on its trifocal function, of which number one, instruction. That is why the university is really into choosing the best and the brightest of the faculty to deliver the knowledge that you are required to receive. Second, we are also focusing on community service. That is the second trifocal function of research. And the third and the last but not the least is research. All universities now in the Philippines are trying their very best to be considered as a research university. A college or a university cannot be considered as a university unless it has produced research outputs which can be utilized, because at the end of the day, what is the use of research if we will just have all the theses and dissertations stacked in the corners or in the library cabinets? What I am pointing is now, if you are going to write a paper, a thesis, or a dissertation, we must see to it that it has to be used. There must be a used, no, for the output. And that is also a sad reality among graduate schools in the Philippines, because if you will note, most of the theses and dissertations are descriptive in nature. In the graduate school per se, we notice that most of the papers are focusing on assessment, descriptive. Nowadays, yes, it is also important to work on uh, descriptive papers, but I would suggest that we shift to a different method, a different style when we start writing our paper. Yes, we are into quantitative research, but nowadays qualitative research is given more attention. And this is the reason why in our graduate school and in the research and the Office of the Research and Publications of the Philippine Christian University, I am starting to promote uh, the use of the qualitative research, which for me uh, is more interesting, more demanding. Though I'm not saying that quantitative research is not demanding, it is. However, we would like to innovate, and innovation is the key word, and that is what the Philippine Christian University is known for and is propagating, with the leadership of our indefatigable president, Dr. Junifen F. Gawan. Innovation is the key to knowledge management. As for the Philippine Christian, that is the reason why we have set up our research agenda for Philippine Christian University. If you are going to write your paper, it is only a must that your paper must answer the agenda of the university. And what is our university research agenda? Our research agenda is anchored on the Commission on Higher Education's NERA, specifically for the 21st century uh, knowledge revolution. Now that we are into the industrial revolution 4.0, it is only a must that research must be innovative, research must be utilized. In fact, the research agenda states that university research as the harbinger, the forerunner of innovative learning platforms, which the university is currently practicing. Now we have our blue book, we have all the learning platforms. Technology is playing side by side with our lecture, our teaching strategies. It is therefore, again, may I repeat that the university research must be the harbinger of innovative learning platforms, novel discoveries, makabagong pagtutuklas po, no? Isa sa mga pagbabago na aking iminungkahi kahapon sa aking klase ay maaring isulat ang kanilang thesis at disertasyon sa wikang Filipino. Katulad kahapon, ibinigay ko ang halimbawa ng pag-aaral sa mga kaguluhan, no? Sa uh, mga merong pag-aaral ako na naisip sa kanila na maaari nilang pagtuunan ng pansin. Katulad na lamang ang pagbibigay ng ayuda ng mga local government units. No? Maganda itong pag-aralan sa pamamagitan ng kwalitatibong metodo or qualitative research. Maari itong gamitan ng phenomenology, case study, meron din tayong hermeneutic phenomenology, pwede tayong mag-content analysis, meron tayong ethnography, meron tayong narrative research kung tayo'y magaling magkwento at ang mga Filipino ay magaling magkwento, no? So we can always use innovative platforms in our research. So novel discoveries, and this is very, very important that our research must also be geared towards social development through local, national, and international linkages, collaboration, and community partnership, which the university is currently practicing. Again, our research agenda is that university research as the harbinger of innovative learning platforms, novel discoveries, engage social development. Because what is the university for if we will not be uh, 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 partnering, no, with our community, no, and eventually for national development. So through local, national, and international linkages, collaboration, and community partnerships. And for that, and for this agenda, we have given, or we have reminded our academic community of the research roadmap. Where are we going? Saan ba tayo patungo? No? And we started the roadmap last 2020. We have a 5-year roadmap, and this is included in the vision and mission and philosophy of the research office of the university. Last year, we have by 2020 a reinforcement of the faculty and students' research capability training to generate research for local, national, and international presentation. And this year, we have to disseminate high impact research. This is very important. The research must be high impact. There must be a reason why it was written and for what, no, and for whom it was written. What is the use, no? There should be a high impact research for knowledge production. And by next year, we have to use this utilization of high impact research. And by 2023, our dream, most of the writers must have published national and international papers in ISI and Scopus Journal. And by 2024, at the end of the 5-year roadmap, that the university will be the leading Christian and learner-centered research university, bridging faith, character, and service for the Filipino society. That's all. Thank you very much. Yun ang topic ko, di ba?
Thank you so much, Dr. Ang, Dr. Jaime. Thank you so much for that presentation of,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, indeed, I think what is important there, a message to our students that there is already a roadmap of PCU in terms of research, that we look forward on a totalitarian, a utilitarian, sorry, rather that would benefit the larger majority, community or society, and on high impact of research, which hopefully each research or project may contribute to new construct or new knowledge. And with that, we thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, Doc Jaime.
Thank you, sir. Sir
Thank you
pala
so
yun.
much. So at this point, okay, at this point, let me welcome each and everyone, dear students of Collab Group, both in Masters and in PhD. So I think we are all here. Hopefully our faces are here for 2 semesters already that we are together. And hopefully at this semester, those who are enrolled in their thesis or project course may learn something, with our first 3 speakers and the next sessions that we will have. So let me introduce collectively our speakers this afternoon. So first, we will have Dr. Vera, a good friend. Dr. Vera is the Dean of Saratov Socioeconomic Institute, Plekhanov Russian University of Economics. So she will be followed by Dr. Boyet Batang, another good friend, our good friend indeed, no? He is the VPAA of Isabela State University and one of our professors, and also the division chief of the Energy Regulatory Commission, ERC, Dr. August Anthony and Balute. So let us start by Dr. Vera. Good afternoon, Dr. Vera.
Good morning, Dr. Mateo.
Oh, it's morning in your part. It's afternoon as here in the Philippines. So anytime you can share your slide, your screen.
4 hours. Good afternoon and good morning,
Yeah.
everyone. I am very happy to take part in such very interesting conference about research. And all previous speakers were really right that it is very important to structure your research, to understand point by point what are you going to do and how are you going to do. Because modern journals, they have very strict requirements for your article and papers. That is why you need to use guidelines that was presented for you. It's very good guidelines because here I found by myself that it's a very good structure and you can use it as a your home guidelines that you will use every day when you try to publish and to make research and development. And as for me, I'm a professor of accounting, business analysis, and audit. That is why, of course, my field of my research is about this area. But nowadays, it is very difficult to present information only about this sphere because management, finance, accounting, environment, human, social relationships are so close to each other. That is why we need and we have to try to cover all these topics because it's impossible to imagine that all these kinds of relationship can be separated from each other. Uh, for this reason, my research is about new, popular, and of course, um, new one that all of us should think about. I want to present my things. It's not the finished research because it have to be analyzed through all areas of our society. That is why it's only the first part of research where I want to give you an ideas to continue it, because all of you are students and your challenge is to present your very high quality themes papers for public. That is why one of the idea that I want to present you is how to present digital capital in annual report of company. You know that digitalization of our not only economic but our life is very very close for us, and you see pandemic show us that it's impossible to um, communicate with each other or to make some research if you haven't got any digital technologies. And for example, this conference is show us how we can connect to each other from Russia to Philippines, and it's very, very good, of course. And I'm really happy that Dr. Mateo, one of my best friend that I have ever met, give me such opportunity to communicate with you. So let's start about my ideas. Not only my in Russian and Europe and in Asia, these ideas are common, and according to the level of development of the country, it's the results can be different. That is why we can, for example, in the future, combine our interests and to compare the results in this research. And of course, it will be interesting not only for two of our countries, but all over the world, because it's a very, very important topic. So before to start, uh, I decided to understand digital capital. What is it? Where we can find it? How can we use it? And the most important, how can we manage it and control? And I started to see this capital in my field in accounting. And accounting is one of the strict area of government, and that's why we can find strict definitions of it. And according to, for example, IFRS, I'm not sure, have you used IFRS standards in Philippines? I think yes, because your international company should use it. The equity is the residual interest in assets uh, and of after reducing all its liabilities. It's not a definition, you see. It's like a formula, for example, that shows us how to calculate equity. But equity is and capital is very wild definition, and uh, in different spheres, in finance, in accounting, and in human, in the social researches. That is why I think it's not possible to use such very short formula just to characterize the capital of the company. And what IFRS standards shows us about the capital. There are two main concepts of the capital. One of these is the concepts of financial capital maintenance, and another is the concepts of physical capital maintenance. What is it? How to use it? How can we implement this concept to disclosure information about our digital capital? I asked this question for myself and try to find answers according to reading uh, concepts of IFRS. And what is written here? The financial capital means to maintain the nominal investment capital or the purchasing power of investment capital. And usually it identifies with the net assets or equity of the company. The physical capital maintenance means to show the operation capability of the company. And capital defines in the terms of the physical productive capacity. And the profit present the increase in what the company over the period. Usually in our financial statement, I'm not sure that it's the same in Philippines. It's also for you as a part of your future research. We use the financial capital concept. It means that we show the net assets as equity and capital. And if it's at the end of the more than it's on the at the beginning of the year, we show that the company have increased and it's a profit. But on the concepts of physical capital maintenance, for our point of view, it showed the ability of company not only to earn the profit during the period, but also to show how your assets generate a profit. And it's very important because all your assets should show the future economic benefits for your company. And according to these two concepts, I have one question. What is a digital capital? Is it assets or something else, or just an equity that we usually use? And try to answer for this question what I've made. There are two main criteria of recognition of assets. And when I analyze them, I found that these criteria are very strict and very, and they usually cannot characterize digitalization of company. These criteria are: it's probable that the future economic benefits will flow to the entity, the first criteria, and the second criteria is the assets has a cost or a value that can be measured reliability, and it's very important ones. Let's try to think together. What do you mean and where can we show the digital process in your company? How can we implement them and to show for public about this? And the first problem for my point of view is that entity incurs expenses that are not directly or indirectly related to future economic benefits. And this is a very big problem because according to IAS 38, intangible assets, the costs for research and development, they are usually not capitalized as an asset. Because only if you can show that your research in the future will really give your future economic benefits, at that moment you can capitalize them. But let's try to think. For example, digital platform, new digital platform in accounting or management allow you to be more reliable and generate more current and correct financial and tax information. And I don't know how it's in your country, but in Russia, the cost to implement this digital platform is very, very high. And usually, not usually, because of these criteria, they are not, this cost cannot be capitalized as assets. And for point of view of the management of a company, it's the expenses for digitalization, and um, mm, usually such expenses are never capitalized as a part of the company's assets. And although this fact, such implementation improves the quality of work and management of a company. That's the reason that our standards, and not only Russian and IFRS and GAAP standards, should be modified, because new reality give us an opportunity to show not only assets that will give you future economic benefits, but will show digital assets that helps your company uh, to develop. The same one is internally created assets such as websites, brands, online stores. Usually also the cost for these assets are usually cost of these assets not capitalized, and they are the cost of current period. But can you imagine the modern companies that haven't got its own website or online store? I think it's impossible. But in their financial statement, we cannot find this information. But it's really, really useful and important part of your company, because it's your image. It's can improve and increase your business processes. That's why, of course, we need to show it, to estimate it, and to understand what the level of digitalization of your company. And it can compare and can understand for your stakeholders, for users, external and internal, that what is the level of digitalization, what opportunities of companies, investment opportunities for these companies, if they are ready to develop. And the last but not least, the part of this question is the lack of control. Um, Digitalization means not only techniques and technologies. It means also people, and their knowledge, their competence, their skills. It's impossible to capitalize as assets. But if you want to develop, you develop not only your technologies, you develop your people. And what is the connectivity between this, and how can estimate it, and how to show the value of these expenses? It's a big, big question. Because there are many limitations in IFRS to present digital capital, I decided to go through new ones. It's integrated reporting. And integrated reporting have also definitions and the concepts of capitals. The capitals are stocks of value that increase, decrease, or transformed through the activity and outputs of the organization. Its definition is more wild because there is no strict formula. It's just the point of view of top management of a company, how to create, how to disclose information about capital. And in IFRS, there is a concept of 6 capitals: financial capital, and material and intangible capitals. Material capital consists of manufactured and natural capital, and intangible ones consist of human, intellectual, and social and relationship capital. You see that there are no place of separating digital ones. Where can we find the information? How can we evaluate, assess, and compare the results of implementing digital technologies? And to answer this question, I decided to find the place of digital capital in according to integrated reporting. And for you, for your future research, I want to give you two ideas, and it's your own point of view how to develop it. The first idea is to find the place of digital capital according to this concept of six capital, because digital digitalization of the company is very, very connected with all kinds of other capital. Manufactured, yes, it's your new digital platforms, new technologies. Neutral, it's of course how you can save ecological reports, what technologies you use. Human, it's your skills, digital skills, competence. Intellectual, the same one. Social and relationship, how you communicate with your stakeholders and to show the real information about your digitalization. Is it a part of the capital? But another question, maybe, it's not maybe, I think it's really so, that digital capital, it's not the part of each one of capitals. I think it's separate one. And probably we need to think how to show it separately from other capitals. And for that reason, I have a question. Can we present information about digital capital separately from other capitals, like financial, material, intangible, and digital capital? In previous annual reports of Russian companies, some companies, not all, only a few ones, decided to have to show the digitalization as a separate part of integrated report. And this separate parts have only narrative information about the digital process of the company. What does it mean? Narrative information doesn't show the connectivity with financial information. For that reason, it's very hard to estimate the level of digitalization of company only to know what technologies they use. We need to find the connectivity between real financial position of the company and the level of digitalization. That can help us to understand what processes will be improved through digitalization. For that reason, I want to give you some recommendation according to it. New digital world needs a new separate type of capital that has both a qualitative and quantitative assessment. And the pandemic shows us that the introduction of digital technologies is a very important part of the successful business. The created digital platforms, including education. You see, for example, in my university, we present, we create our own online platform that we use for online lectures and seminars. It's also one of the part of the digitalization. And we need to show and to disclose the information as financial, both financial and narrative in a separate part of integrating our annual report. It will allow companies and organizations to demonstrate their ability to create value all over the period. For that reason, we need together all over the world to think how to change, for example, accounting standards or IFRS or IR standards, that the level of digitalization and the financial information about it, and a narrative description of top management about digitalization will be disclosed separately, and that will help us to understand how companies are ready to face up with new challenges in new digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc Vera. I think that was really a big challenge, and hopefully our business administration students or those in the areas of management can look at that as an opportunity.
To
For,
think.
yeah, I think you're giving us the opportunity to work collaboratively, hopefully in the near future, and digital in a sense that most of the institutions, not only in the academe, but in the rest of the other institutions. And I think you can make sure, no, that hopefully our students, if they pursue on that area of research, you are able
Dr.
to
You
share
can
all
give
of
my email for your students who will be interested in this topic. We can try to find some common interest, and I can help them to continue this topic.
and I hope you can stay around for our Q&A. So at this juncture, let me okay. At this point, let me show our appreciation. So let me read the citation. Philippine Christian University Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Dr. Vera V. Plotnikova for her valuable insights as resource speaker during the webinar discourse session on demystifying graduate research output given this 18th day of April 2021, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Junifen F. Guanan, PCU President. Thank you so much, Dr. Vera.
Thank you very much.
Please stay along so we can have Q&A later in a short while. Thank you. Okay, may I call on the next resource speaker, BPAA Doc Boyet Batang. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to each and everyone.
Good afternoon, Doc Boyet.
Good afternoon, President Guanan, Dr. De La Cruz, and Dr. Ang, Dr. Makalaging. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat from Isabela. I am proud to present my 30 minutes presentation today. Gahol tayo sa oras. I hope I can give justice to the 30 minutes presentation. And I'm also proud that I am part of the Philippine Christian University Accession Program, part of the Northern Luzon Group. Let me share my screen.
You can see it. Thank you.
All right. Demystifying graduate research output, and I would like to start with the term demystify. To demystify is, of course, to make a difficult or esoteric subject clearer and easier to understand by our graduate students, most likely that they're going to write their thesis and dissertations. But as an academician and of course a professor of graduate school, let me remind everyone of the provision of CHED Memorandum Order number 15, series of 2019 on policies, standards, and guidelines for graduate programs, wherein if you take a look at the CMO, particularly on Section 9, that publication requirements, of course, is a requirement now for graduate students. And that is being exemplified by the Director for Research, Dr. Ang, on the development of research at the Philippine Christian University. And of course, I'm saying that publication requirements for graduate students in the Master of Science, in the Master of Arts, academic track, of course, are required to have publication in a refereed journal or juried creative work. And for Doctor of Philosophy academic track and PhD bioresearch, of course, you are required to have publications in internationally and nationally indexed journals or juried creative work. Okay, and the scope of that as part of CMO 15 series of 2019 on section 10 on research and creative work degrees, of course, to promote the culture of research and creative work, or RCW, and increase productivity. And of course, the eligible higher education institutions shall encourage to offer the research and creative work degrees. And the research creative work degrees shall be for candidates with demonstrated RCW aptitudes, etc. And of course, such programs of study shall require statement of outline for RCW purpose, supervision of a senior advisor, and so on and so forth. But of course, I'm saying this because since this was promulgated in December of 2019, so we still have 3 years transition for the publication requirement for our graduate students. Okay, now for my outline of my presentation this afternoon for 30 minutes, I hope I can finish in 30 minutes, but dadalian ko. Of course, we're going to have taking the mystery out of research, ways of finding answers to research questions, which was discussed in detail by the president, and make sure our research is of good quality and rigorous paper. And we're also going to talk about ways to collect the information we need to answer our research question. The president has also discussed research ethics and confidentiality, and of course, how do we manage the research process and making sense of the information collected. How can we make sense of the information collected, and how does it help us to answer research question? So we're saying that the research question involves the following steps. Of course, number one, you agree on the question that you want to answer, just like during the proposal defense for that matter. So you have to present your research questions, and of course, you have an answer to that based on your research questions or your objectives, and how are you going to answer it as part of your methodology. Step two is that we're going to decide the best way to answer your question. That's why later on I'm going to discuss uh, reliability and validity, and even some of the tools that we're going to utilize. And of course, step three, collecting the information. Step four is making sense of the information. And step five, letting other people know what you found. Now, of course, we have to choose a research method, and these are three types of research for answering questions. When we have a question to answer, we choose the type of research that best fits our question. And the three types differ in many ways. One important difference is the kind of information or the data that we collect. But prior to that, um, if we put very simply, so research involves asking a question and of course answering it. And all researchers have questions that need answers. And some people want to explain something or understand something, and some people need answer to a problem, and some want to know what others think or feel about an issue. And of course, we're saying that the one important difference, of course, as I made mention earlier, is the kind of information or the data that we collect. Of course, we are familiar with qualitative research, which was discussed by Dr. Ang earlier. So uses words as data, right? And he mentioned earlier that this is actually the in now when it comes to research, the qualitative research, because the number one question that I usually ask when I sit in defenses is that, what's your contribution to research? That's usually the question. And number two, we're dealing with quantitative research, uses numbers as data. And of course, if we want to have a combined qualitative and quantitative research, that's also okay. Uses both words and numbers as data. Okay, the research method that we're talking about. So then this should be part of our research method, as we made mention earlier, that you ask the question, where do you plan to collect information, right? From whom are you going to collect information, and how are you going to collect information? For both qualitative and quantitative research, where or who will you get the information? Those are the questions. Or what are you going to do? What will you do, and what type of research, and why are you going to conduct this research? Okay. Now, in terms also of sampling, researchers have enough time actually of or money to collect information from all the relevant people or places. So we collect information from a sample that represents a larger group. And of course, this is what we call sampling. And the important thing about sampling is choosing people or places that are very much like all the people and places they represent. Otherwise, you may get a bias or wrong answer. In that case, the research would not be of good quality, because when we talk of sampling, for instance, the consumers we get from each of these two groups, for that matter, uh, might not be the answers for that, or we would get if we ask every individual for that matter, and they would be biased sample, because it does not talk of a representative sample for that matter. So you might also ask how many are needed in a sample, needs to be big enough to represent everyone that the research question is all about. Okay? And when we talk of good quality research, please take note of the term validity and of course reliability. Validity means that we're making sure the answers really answer the research questions, and reliable information or reliability for that matter, the same no matter who collects it or when they collect it. And when we talk of validity, of course, our graduate students would be very much familiar on the term validity, because validity is the extent to which the scores actually represent the variable they are intended to do. And when we talk also of reliability, we're talking here of consistency across time. If you can go back to our basic research, it talks about test and retest reliability across items. And when we talk across items, then therefore we're talking here of the internal consistency. And when we talk of reliability, we're talking here of across researches, or what we call the inter-rater reliability. And therefore, a judgment based on the variables, or the variables types of evidence, and that's part of good quality research for our graduate students. Okay. And there are different ways to collect information to answer a research question. There are actually 4 commonly used methods. And these are, of course, interviewing, right? If you're familiar with the term interviews. So there is such a thing as structured interview. So when we talk of in structured interviews, the working of the questions, the order in which they are asked, and the possible responses are planned ahead of time and carried out exactly as planned by the interviewer. And that's an example of what we call structured interview. Then we have also semi-structured interview, wherein a semi-structured interview or focus, we call it focus interview, has also planned topics or question to cover. However, the researcher and the person uh, being interviewed are um, are free to cover the topics in any order and to talk about additional relevant topics. And by the end of the interview, uh, all the pre-planned topics or question must have been covered. And of course, there is also such a thing as unstructured interview, because the person being interviewed is of course encouraged to talk about whatever they want that is of course relevant to the research topic or question at hand. And we have also what we call the focus groups, right? Because we take away from the traditional survey, etc., assessment. But of course, we also encourage survey. But of course, we make it to a point that bigger or smaller scale, for that matter, must also be looked into as part of the survey. And when we talk of letter B, focus groups, one way of collecting of questionnaire rather, of course, is through the use of FG or focus group discussion, or FGD for that matter. When we talk of a focus group, it's actually a group of people engaged in, we call it focus discussion, and it is usually one of group whose participants may not know each other, although other authors, based on research reading, suggest that group can of course meet more than one if necessary as part of the methodology. So we're saying that in a focus group, the discussion topic is focused on a single question with one or two related questions. And of course, we're saying that in the FG or the focus group, the aim, of course, is to get a wide range of answers about the topic and to gain an understanding of and insight into the topic. So we're saying that in general rather, a focus group discussion for that for that matter would only have 6 to 8 participants. And a focus group is not the same as group interviews. Please take note of that, because the emphasis in a focus group is on the conversation among group members, and group interviews concentrate on the answers given to the facilitators or moderators or the person conducting the focus group. And moreover, when we talk of a focus group, the facilitators can remain quiet after um, after introduction of the topic or question, especially when group participants are actively involved in discussion with each other. And of course, the role of the facilitator is to simply tries to keep the conversation on the topic of interest. And of course, this is sometimes the loopholes of some of other researchers, because after focus group discussions, wala na, parang focus group discussion na lamang. But because when you talk of focus group discussion, make it to a point that there will always be a debriefing after the focus group discussion. Because when we talk of debriefing, we're talking of, it happens at the end of the focus group, because participants are actually encouraged to express their views about their experience attending the focus group discussions. And hence, it's a debriefing or giving thanks, for instance, to the participants in the focus group discussion. Okay. Another is, of course, this might interest our graduate students. Observation, of course. One ways of collecting data, of course, where someone observes and there is something to observe. Of course, that is observation. And observations may be made of people, events, includes social situations or even objects. And this happens naturally. And of course, we're saying that the event, for instance, is naturally occurring situations, or may be made from videotape recordings. And of course, we're saying that there are two ways of researchers can observe. Of course, number one is participant observation, where the observer, for instance, is an active participant in the event or situation, at the same time observes what is happening. And the other one is non-participant observation, because the observer is present in the event or situation and just observes, or the observations are made from the tape recordings of the event. And of course, if there is unstructured interview, there is also unstructured observation. And what do we mean by unstructured observation? When uh, when there is a direction or period of time used on what to observe, and it is actually a stretch observation. We call it stretch observation, and it makes use of an observation tool which tells what we should observe, because it's actually unstructured interview. And of course, the favorite of all researchers, questionnaires. Of course, we're not discounting the fact that we're not saying that these are not actually effective, but of course, we make it to a point that some researchers would usually what? They just adapt, for instance, the questionnaire without, of course, undergoing the usual validation of the questionnaire, peer validation, content validation when it comes to questionnaires for that matter, and of course, without contextualizing questionnaires. Of course, we're not saying that these are not important, but of course, we make it a point that the rudiments of preparing questionnaire for that matter would be okay. But I would advise that when it comes to a questionnaire, it would be better if, of course, we design our own questionnaire for that matter. Okay? And we talk about ethics when it comes to research, which was also discussed by the president, that in conducting research, researchers are expected to respect the rights and dignity of the participants in the research project. And letter B, avoid any harm to the participants. And letter C, be honest and do the research with integrity. Now, question is, since qualitative research now is the in when it comes to research, please take note that ethics is very much important. I'll give you an example. There was this a researcher, pinilit yung isang tribo na i-perform ang ethnic dance or ritual dance na hindi napapanahon pagdating ng ritual. Anong nangyari dun sa researcher? Namatay ho ang researcher because nagalit ho ang kanilang espiritu. That's part of ethics. Okay? That is documented. That is an example of documented research wherein the researcher actually um, force the tribe to perform the ritual, but supposed to be the ritual is not that, I mean, hindi panahon ng ritual. All right? And that's part of ethics. An example given here, of course, is all mental health researchers planning to conduct research must first get approval from their area health service ethics committee. If a researcher is connected with a university, a professional body, or another service outside the place where the research is carried out, approval must also be given by the ethics committees of these organizations. And of course, there are main expectations of the ethics committee. No participant will be harmed psychologically or physically by being involved in the research, and participants must voluntarily give their consent or agreement to be involved, of course, in writing. And participants can only agree to be involved after they are told what they will have to do if they are involved, what the research is all about, how their information and answers will kept private and confidential. We're talking of confidentiality, and if there are risks or benefits of being involved, and if they are free to withdraw anytime. Okay? So 30 minutes is over. Thank you very much. And the whole of this presentation, the 100 plus pages PDF form was given to Sir Matt. And should the students wish to uh, get a copy, they can get it from Sir Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doc Boyet. Thank you so much. I think that would open a lot of possibilities, especially those to our students in the grad school, no, looking for a lot of designs as discussed by the president, and of course the learned concepts that they had, no, in their research and statistics classes. No? So that will be put into action. And we would like to reiterate also that for the next days, no, for our webinar session season, or the session, no, 2 and 3. So we have more detailed discussions on the different researchers that could be quantitative, qualitative, or mixed in nature, no, as in the concept of design. Okay. With this, let me give our certificate of appreciation. Philippine Christian University awards this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Boyet L. Batang for his valuable insights as resource speaker during the webinar discourse session on demystifying graduate research output given this 8th day of April 2021, Manila, Philippines. Signed, President Dr. Junifen. Thank you so much, Boyet.
Thank, thank you
So,
very much, Philippine
stay,
Christian University.
yeah, stay for a while for our
Yeah.
Q&A in a short while.
Okay. Okay.
At this point, let me call on our next presenter. He is one of our professors and a colleague. He will talk about data privacy, and at the same time, because of his expertise in as doctor of information technology, maybe perhaps would like to look into also the concept of capstone. So with that, may I call on Dr. August Anthony Balute. Dr. August, thank you. Good afternoon.
Yes, thank you for that introduction, Dr. Makalagin, and also good afternoon to our PCU President, Dr. Junifen Gawan, and also to our director as well. And again, good afternoon to all of the participants and who's currently in this a webinar session. Well, again, okay, before I start, okay, as earlier, as discussed by our president and as well as Dr. Batang, well, with regards to ethics, well, it's very important in research that we consider all of the the things in terms of ethics. Well, to continue, okay, I want to focus on the first the data because this is actually the very important component of the research. Okay, to start with. Okay, by the way, okay, before I start, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so before I start, my discussion, okay, I just want to have a quick story on the latest data breaches in the Philippines. No, well, actually, as we all know, I think almost a year there was a data breach in the DFA. Well, why are the very first question that we will ask is why did that happen? Well, basically in the government sector, normally there are few of the government agencies have their own IT experts, when it comes to data management and data security. But In the case of DFA, the Department of Foreign Affairs, okay, actually procured a consultant or expert, particularly in the data management. So basically, there's an agreement, between the highly technical consultant and then the DFA, and then there's a what we call data sharing agreement. No? So bakit nga ba connected yon dun sa DFA data breach? Well, just to explain that, first, the DFA, magkakandak sila ng bid, for, let's say, prospective consultants, particularly in data management. Then after that, magkakaroon sila ng data sharing agreement, because ang mangyayari niyan is the DFA, which is the data controller, and then the third party or the prospective consultant is the data processor. So basically, nasi-share yung data, doon sa third party or sa highly technical consultant. So ang mangyayari niyan, bakit nga nagkaroon ng data breach? Well, simple lang, unang-una, natapos yung contract, natapos yung contract ng bidder, normally kasi ano yan kumaga yearly, yearly yan re-renew yung contract, So after a year, let's say natalo itong bidder na ito, well, magkakaroon niya ng transition from the new bidder, for the DFA to handle their data management, Well, sad thing, because why the DFA na lang, na mag-hire na lang ng data management expert, to manage their data. Kumbaga, a pool of experts, in-house experts, so that to ensure the security, of the data of the DFA, because it will compromise our security there, because data management, I mean, in the DFA, lahat ng mga personal information natin, sensitive personal information natin, and privileged information, should I say, ano yan, lahat meron silang copy. So basically, it will compromise, Unang-una dyan, identity theft, and marami pang cases na pwede mangyari, So basically, talamak na data breach, yung nangyayari nowadays. So yun nga, going back, what happened, nagkaroon ng misunderstanding yung DFA and then the provider, and then hindi na i-surrender kagad yung data sa kanila. So basically, may instance, na share, nag-leak yung data, but it's not within the DFA. It's actually within the former consultant or the former highly technical consultant. So yun yung nangyari dito, Kaya ang problema dito is kung hindi structured yung tinatawag nating data sharing agreement, okay, magkakaroon talaga tayo ng problema. But definitely, ang liable dyan is the highly technical consultant, So yun yung nangyari dun sa data breach ng DFA. And then next, we also heard this story, a few years ago. Si Maria Ozawa, actually, nag-book siya ng Uber, that time meron pang Uber, And if you notice, ito kasi yung mga applications, wherein na they cannot operate, And actually, tayo ang nagbibigay sa kanila, ng power to operate. Bakit? Well, we provide data, and also they use data, to run their business. So basically, lahat ng mga personal information natin, sensitive personal information natin, if we're gonna classify it within the RA 10173, including the phone number, so definitely, makukuha nila yung phone number ni Maria Ozawa. Of course, pwedeng maging textmate, They can text Maria Ozawa because they have her number, which is ang violate kagad dyan sa ating Data Privacy Act, without the consent of the data subject. So yun yung nangyari, So right now, very critical, on our part, kasi nga na-exploit na masyado yung ating data, Later on, explain natin yan, So medyo mabilis lang tayo. And also, number one, no? The number one, should I say, violator of the data privacy, no, is actually the social media, particularly Facebook, no. Ang problem niyan is before earlier they don't have a clear structure of the data privacy notice and then the policy itself, no. So alam mo yun, wala tayong idea, no, on how they exactly process our data, no. And then the problem there is that they can use that, no, against us, or for marketing purposes, because currently the Facebook, meron na silang structure, no, na meron na silang machine learning and artificial intelligence wherein they play all with the data. Again, no, just to remind you na lahat ng applications na meron tayo, including the Facebook, no, they're useless, no, kung walang data. So data is actually more valuable than money, no, nowadays, no. So they will use or utilize our data without our knowledge. And then if you notice now, when you search on Facebook and when you go to certain sites or functions, then the next time you log in, meron na silang meron nang kumbaga na predict na nila, is because yun nga, natatrack nila lahat ng mga ginagawa mo, which is yun nga, violating, no, the privacy, no. So be very careful, no, when using the social media, particularly Facebook. Though now, right now, no, meron na silang updated, no, privacy notice and privacy policy, no, but it's not yet well defined, no, and napakalawak pa rin ng kanilang condition. So that's why yung Apple is gumawa sila ng in-house privacy notice, no, and dedicated policy for the Apple users, no, so that merong another level of security, and to make sure or to ensure na your data is being processed accordingly, no, and safely. Okay, so yun. And isa pa, no, same case with the DFA, no. Ang COMELEC din kasi is well, just to let you know, no, karamihan ng mga government agencies kasi, no, they procure highly technical consultants, kasi ito mga highly technical consultants na ito, they have this special skills kasi, no, in terms of data management, di ba? So basically, yung mga in-house IT natin, hindi sila capable, no, to handle those big data and yung complicated, yung sophisticated, no, and complex data. Kailangan nila talaga ng mga expert, no. So normally kumukuha pa yan from abroad and everything. So ganun din yung nangyari dito sa COMELEC, no. Nagkaroon din ng leak yung data because yun nga, nagre-renew kasi, no, yung contract, and then after that dapat bago nga matapos yung contract, kailangan nilang i-surrender, no, because yun yung naka-state sa it was actually clearly stated in the data sharing agreement, no. Yun yung pinaka-importance kasi, no, na dapat sinusunod natin yung data sharing agreement. Pero unfortunately, no, and then with our current situation, no, it's very challenging, no, to regulate those processes, no. So yun nga, be very careful lang. And well, good thing about it is meron ng mga agencies, no, like Energy Regulatory Commission na meron na kaming in-house, no, na kumbaga we develop our own structure of security in terms of data, so that we 100%, no, secured yung aming data, and at least, no, in compliance, no, not just in compliance with the RA 1173. Okay, so there. Now, ito rin yung isang issue, no, yung meron tayong mga lending apps, no, na pag hindi nakabayad on time, di ba, tinatawagan yung mga guarantor or kung sino man yung nandoon sa provide ng subject, no. So basically, bawal yan kasi kailangan mo muna mag-ask ng permission, no, to obtain or get their mobile number para tawagan itong mga ito. And then hindi pwede, no, hindi pwede na kumbaga we will use those information, no, to contact somebody, no. So ano rin to, pinatigil din to ng National Privacy Commission because of that, no. And the next, currently, no, well, this is no longer updated, no. This is as of November 11 of 2019. So currently, ito yung data breach statistics natin.
So
No?
progress for a while.
Yes, Doc.
I hope you're sharing your data, your screen.
Yes, Doc Matt. Hindi po ba tumatakbo?
Sige. Pa-share po.
Sorry. Sorry about it. Hindi pa. Nakikita niyo na, Doc. Sorry
I was thinking that you had a...
Nakikita niyo po ang screen?
Yes, I was thinking that you had a very...
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yan nga, dinidiscuss ko kanina yung mga latest data breach in the Philippines, no? So, nakikita na ninyo ngayon yung aking screen?
Clear. Yes.
Sorry about that. Ayun. So, skip na natin, no? Ito, yan. So, ito yung mga slides, yung mga previous slides kanina na dinidiscuss, no? So, to continue, no? Ito yung total data breach, no? Statistics, no? Actually, as of November 2019 pa ito, hindi na siya updated, but pretty sure, no? Mas lalo ngayon, no? Baka umakit na to ng mga 16 million, no? So yan, no? So to continue with the discussion, again, napakasimple lang naman ang principle ng RA 10173, no? You do not collect if you cannot protect, no? So basically, no, if you go to the website of the National Privacy Commission, may nakikita ka doon na kumbaga lahat naka-disclose, no, yung kanilang privacy notice, no. Kasi if you notice, no, pag pumupunta tayo sa mga websites, no, sa websites, sa mga applications na ginagamit natin, normally meron yang may privacy notice yan, no. Katulad nito, no, na merong isang privacy notice na sinasabi na the Energy Regulatory Commission will treat your data as confidential. So may kanya-kanyang but very same principle na ginagamit. And normally ang privacy notice na nakikita natin sa website or sa mga applications, siguro mga 1 to 2 paragraphs lang yan. 2 paragraphs, no? But meron silang option doon sa baba na wherein you can click learn more, no? Once you click on that, no, ipapakita yung pinaka buong policy ng data privacy, no? So normally lahat ng website, and then actually required na yun ng National Privacy Commission, and then actually they are randomly checking, no, government websites, institution websites, lahat, business websites, e-commerce websites, tinitingnan nila yan kung compliant ba yan in terms of data privacy notice. Because very, very important, no? Kasi you have the right to object, no? You have the right to refuse, no? Kung ayaw mo magpatuloy, no? So basically may option dyan na magpatuloy ka or hindi ka magpatuloy. Kung hindi ka magpatuloy, the website will close or the application will not proceed to the next step, no? And also, pag pupunta rin kayo dun sa mall, no? Normally, di ba, hinihingi yung information ninyo, no? Well, actually, you have the right, no, to refuse or not to write your personal information there. Because nakakalungkot kasi yun din, no, challenge din sa batas na ito, no? Because yung mga big establishments such as mall, no, hindi sila actually, no, I would say hindi sila compliant, no? Because actually I observed that, no. I went to several malls, no, and then checking their I actually checked their procedure, no, on how they obtain data, and then talaga nagfe-fail talaga sila, no. And that's a criminal offense, no. So nakakalungkot lang, no. And then if you notice, nilalagay lang natin doon sa isang piece of paper, that. But good thing about it, meron na tayong bagong technology, no, wherein we can use QR codes, no. Yung mga applications, no, yung mga legit applications na recognized ni National Privacy Commission and the DICT, no. So yun, no, legit yun, mga legal yun na mga applications that we can use, no. Mas safe yun yung data natin, no, kumpara dun sa sinusulat natin piece of paper. Okay, so there. Now, what is BOTPA, no? Because of the it's actually because of the Data Privacy Act, no? Now, who stores data about you, no? Very familiar, no? very familiar sa mga nakikita ninyo. We have Facebook, we have YouTube, Google. Well, very much na-exploit na yung ating mga data. No? Imagine, more than a decade ka nang gumagamit ng World Wide Web. No? So basically, lahat ng information mo, no, using YouTube, Google Drive, if you notice, lahat integrated lahat yan. No, it all started with the idea of Larry Page. No? Si Larry Page kasi siya yung founder ng Google, and he's one of the richest person din sa buong mundo. And ito kasi actually, no, it all started with his PhD dissertation proposal. Actually, yung to study the mathematical structure and processing of the World Wide Web. Doon nagsimula yan. So basically, dyan na-create si YouTube, si Google Drive, lahat ng web-based applications, lahat ng web-based services, no? Dyan nagsimula lahat. So, yun, no? Hindi maganda sa application, no? Particularly in web-based technology and also applications. If you don't provide data, kung hindi mo siya nilalagyan ng data, it's not gonna process. No? So hindi talaga siya nagpa-process. So lahat yan, no? Lahat ng mga malalaking web services, no? They rely on the data. No? So yan. The next. So now, no, as you can see in the picture, no, ito yung typical na ating pamumuhay, no. Basically, sa nakikita ninyo dito sa picture, you can see the passwords, no, the credit card number, social security number, text messages, deleted files, lahat, no, bank account information, lahat ng mga critical data, no, lahat ng personal data, sensitive personal information, lahat yan, na-obtain lahat ng ating mga devices. No? Well, actually, aware naman tayo dyan, no? Because especially right now, no, that we always transact, no, online na. And hindi na tayo minsan pumupunta sa bangko because, you know, mas convenient siya kumpara na by going to the bank and then withdraw and then transfer funds. And also, ngayon, no, yung ginagawa natin, no, we're actually using Zoom, no, which is nagkaroon ng issue niyan earlier, no, nagkaroon ng issue rin in terms of security, no, dahil hindi na-regulate, no, merong nakapasok na kumbaga parang uninvited guest, no, on that particular very confidential meeting, no. So kumbaga at that time hindi pa develop yung tinatawag na end-to-end encryption, no. Kumbaga ang Zoom before wala pa silang end-to-end encryption. But right now, no, well, ginagamit na natin siya, and I can say na so far na-address na nila yung issue na yan. So yun mga yun, no, yung mga information lahat, no, na obtain, no, using our devices. So basically, tuwan-tuwa dito ang mga hackers, no. But thank God, no, that we're actually secured because all of the applications that we're using is actually SSL secured. No? Actually, the hackers hate that, no, because yun yung ating yung kumbaga parang pinaka-security, no, sa lahat ng mga transactions na mga ginagawa natin, no. Okay, so to continue, yan again, no, what Google knows, no. Let's say over a decade ka na, no, gumagamit ng web. Lahat, no, na information mo. And by the way, no, you can actually try to search using your name, no. Makikita mo lahat kung yung lumalabas na information is considered as personal information, sensitive personal information. Makikita naman ninyo no, kung gaano ka gaano ka delikado, no, na-expose yung mga information ninyo dun sa internet. Okay? And then this is actually the amount of data collected, no, in the internet in just span of 60 seconds. So imagine, no, well, ngayon patok na patok yan, no, the Netflix because sarado mga movie house, di ba? Movie houses. And then lahat ng mga applications na nakikita ninyo lahat is actually overutilized, no. Imagine in the span of 60 seconds, ganyan kalaki yung pinaprosesong data, no, sa World Wide Web, no. So yan. Now, galing ito, no, sa isang former Deputy Commissioner ng National Privacy Commission. Sabi niya dito is, in the future, job interviews will be done by machines, and they won't even have to ask you a single question. They'll just search your social media history. Well, that's true, no? Nakita niyo naman kanina, no, kung gaano kabilis i-collect, no, ng web technology yung ating data, no? So yun nga, no, it will be stored somewhere, no, probably in a cloud storage, no, wherein later on, let's say nag-apply ka ng trabaho, no, hindi ka nila tatanungin kasi makikita na lahat nila yung background mo and everything. But of course, they have to validate that, no? Pero ano lang naman ito, kumbaga parang possible na mangyari ito in the near future, no? So next. So, ayan nga, no? If you notice, no, saan ba nanggagaling yung mga pinakamayayaman na tao sa buong mundo? Nasa IT industry sila, no? Na sobrang yayaman nila, and then ang tawag nga sa kanila is bicentennial, I'm not sure, no, bicentennial billionaire, something like that, no? Sila lang yung mga nakakaabot na sa sobrang yaman nila, and then they're actually the owner of Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and also Tesla, no? In short, lahat sila gumagamit ng data, no? Doon talaga sila yumaman, no? So yun. Now, reasons why we need to protect data, no? Of course, okay, it builds trust, no? And unang-una, yung security and then credibility ng data, no? If we fail to keep the data, say safely and privately, of course, no, mako-compromise yung identity ng ating mga clients, no. So yun yung pinaka-challenge actually, no. Even me as an IT expert, no, napaka malaking challenge sa amin, no, on how we consistently upgrade our security level, no, to protect the data. It's because ang daming intruders, no, and kami, no, as an IT expert, minsan hindi rin namin alam kung saan talaga nanggagaling yung mga intruders na yan. And confident naman, no, kami na it's actually secured outside, no. Well, probably pwedeng sa loob kasi mismo yung mga empleyades is they're not kumbaga parang educated, no, in terms of data privacy. Sometimes nasi-share nila, nata-transfer nila, alam mo yun. So this has to be reported dapat, no? Kailangan i-report ito sa National Privacy Commission. Normally merong ano yan kumbaga in the span of 72 hours or not more than 72 hours dapat ma-report mo na if there's a data breach, no, sa National Privacy Commission. So yun, again, it prevents and mitigates risk, no? And also it is required by law, no? Now, what is the DPA, no? Well, yun nga, no, an act protecting individual personal information in information and communication system in the government and private sector, creating for this purpose of a National Privacy Commission and other purposes. So basically, no, to focus on this topic, since focus tayo sa research, una-una, binanggit kanina, no, yung ethics review committee, no. Actually, isa sa pinaka main requirement, no, ng ethics review committee is to have a let's say yung research mo, no, isasubmit mo yan for approval, no, and then they will check kung sino yung mga respondents or data subject na involved, and very important na dapat merong consent, no, from the data subject. Very particular dyan yung mga ethics review committee, no, bago sila mag-proceed and i-approve yung study mo, no. The next, the scope of the Data Privacy Act, actually it applies to the processing of all types of personal information and to any natural and juridical person in the country and even abroad, subject to certain qualifications. Well, similar lang naman, no, yung regulation, no, ng National Privacy Commission and GDPR. Kasi hango lang naman sa GDPR yung structure or principle ni data privacy or the National Privacy Commission. Okay? Meron lang pinagkaiba na very siguro kasi kailangan natin ni tailored fit, no, for every country kasi, no. Sa atin kasi mas tailored fit yung approach ni National Privacy Commission. That's why merong very specific no sa country natin na wala sa iba. So basically, ito yung structure ng RA 10173. So basically, we have the Section 6, focus on definitions and general provisions. And then 710, the national or the commission itself, the sections 11 to 21, the rights of the data subjects, and section 22 to 24, provisions to specific government. No? And the next section will be the penalties. No? So to continue, okay, the data privacy actors, basically ito yon, no? Ito yung bumubuo, the data subject. Okay, then next we have the privacy administrator, implementer of the act, which is the of course the National Privacy Commission, and then also the organizations. Well, basically ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Nagkaroon ng issues sa DFA and then doon sa highly technical consultant. So basically ito yung Department of Foreign Affairs, or the DFA, the Personal Information Controllers. And then the highly technical consultant is the Personal Information Processor. So basically merong merong data sharing agreement yan, no? na dapat i-implement, no, bago mo i-share yung information, which is sensitive personal information, same as COMELEC, no? And then the key roles of the Data Privacy Act. So we have the data subjects or the respondents, no, for the research, and also we have the Personal Information Controller, the one who controls the processing of personal data, and then the Personal Information Processor, the organization or individual whom a personal information controller may outsource. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, no, na meron dapat na clear data sharing agreement. And also data privacy or the data protection officer, which is ito nga yung parang pinaka officer, no, wherein siya yung responsible sa lahat, no, in implementing the act itself, no. And then of course the National Privacy Commission. And then now, as you can see, no, in the picture, you or the respondent, it's the data subject, the regulator, the NPC, and then the company agency, which is the third party or the highly technical consultant, as an example. No. The next, we have the Personal Information Controller and Personal Information Processor. So basically, ito yung sinasabi ko, no, na merong agreement between the two. No, yan yung structure ng agreement. No, and then next, we have the rights of the data subject. Okay, yes, very important, no? Especially sa ating dissertation, thesis, or capstone. For example, no, you're about to start your research, and then you will collect, data from the data subject. Unang-una dyan, the data subject has the right to be informed. No? Kailangan ma-inform sila kung ano eksaktong mga information ang kukunin mo. That's why, di ba, meron kang meron kang disclosure, no, doon sa iyong research, no, na ito yung mga specifics, ito yung mga attributes na makukunin ko sa iyo, no, as my data subject or respondent, no. And then the right to object, no, when you say right to object, ito naman yung kung nafi-feel ni data subject or ni respondent na kumbaga hindi siya komportable, no, doon sa mga data na hinihingi mo, he or she has the right to object, no. That's actually in IR section 34B, no. And then also the right to access, no. Kailangan frequently monitored sila, makikita nila on how you progress, no. Pagdating sa research, tinitingnan nila on how you properly process the data, and kailangan nakikita nila kung tama ba, no, yung or accordingly yung pagpaprocess ng mga data na in-obtain mo doon sa original na pag-uusap ninyo, no, kung paano magagamitin yung mga data. And then also the right to data portability, no. Now also right to correct, no, as I mentioned, kung may nakikita si data subject na merong mali, no, doon sa data, well, he or she has the right to correct, no, the data, kasi sa kanya yun eh. And then right to file a complaint kung may nakikita siyang merong violation, no, in terms of the usage of the personal or sensitive personal information data, no, or personal information. And then also right to damages, no, which is under the IRR section 34 section F, no. And next, we have the right to erasure or blocking. So again, additional rights yan ng data subject, no? If they want to remove something, no? And wala kang magagawa but to follow them is because that's their data, no? And then transmissibility of rights. Actually, ito yung last na rights na hindi available sa lahat ng countries, no? Actually, sa Philippines lang ito available. Itong transmissibility of rights na ito, particularly in IRR Section 35, ito yung kumbaga parang namatay na yung data subject, no? Kumbaga pwedeng gamitin ng kapatid niya yung data or kung sino man yung pwede rin yung asawa, no, na gamitin yung datos ng yumao, no. Pero doon sa what do you call this? Doon sa abroad, no, hindi na to applicable kasi once na namatay na yung data subject, wala na lahat ng data niya supposedly. Pero sa atin, kino-consider pa rin na pwede pa rin magamit yan. Kasi pwede niya magamit as later on, no, siguro sa mga court proceedings, no, pwede magamit yung personal information, sensitive personal information, and then yung privileged information na tinatawag. No? Ito yun. No? Ito yung classification ng personal identifiable information, no? Just to let you know, para at least makita ninyo, no, na sa under the RA 1173 meron tayong tatlong classification, no. So meron tayong tinatawag na personal information, sensitive personal information, and also privileged information. So nakikita ninyo, no, very typical information that we have, name, address, place of work, andun lahat, no, nakikita nyo dyan. No? So masasabi ninyo, nagpo-fall pala siya sa personal information. And sa sensitive personal information, just to let you know, ito yung mga specific, no, or mga specifics na mga information, which is the race, color, ethnic, also the marital status, age, yung age sensitive personal information yan. Also the health and then philosophical application, religious and philosophical affiliation, education, and nandito. Hold on, let me go to the next slide. Ayan, social security number. Later on, ipoprovide ko itong copy kay Doc Matt, okay, so that you can have a copy of this presentation. And also, yung privileged information. Andiyan naman yung tinatawag na, ayan, data received within the context of the protective relationship, husband and wife. Data received within the context of the protective relationship between the attorney and then the client, no? And then data received within the context of the protective relationship between the priest and the penitent, no? So yun nga, yan yung mga classification, no, ng mga information, particularly in identifiable information. Okay. The next we have what we call personal data life cycle, no. Very important ito, no. Ito yung pinapractice namin actually, no. This is actually very straightforward, no. Kasi ito lang naman yung yung stage, no, na dapat nating sundin, no. For example, me as the data privacy officer or the data protection officer, so kailangan properly or dapat in accordance with the RA 1173 ang pag-obtain ko ng data, no, in terms of acquisition. Tapos kailangan i-declare ko kung paano ko i-store yan, no? Kung ano mga merong storage mechanism meron kami, ano merong security measures, meron ang aming application to secure your data, or pwede ba namin ilagay sa cabinet if it's a let's say a paper-based data, no? So yun, kailangan dapat na dapat na-disclose siya, no? Or dapat alam yan, no, ng data subject. And then kung saan eksaktong gagamitin, and if ever na ita-transfer, or let's say merong data sharing agreement, and of course destruction, no? Kailangan hindi tumagal yung data, no? Kasi meron lang normally hindi nagtatagal dapat siya ng 5 years, depende, no? Depende sa institution, no? It's actually tailor fit din kung anong institution under ka. Pwedeng sa school, sa bangko, so depende sa inyo kung gaano yung katagal bago sirain yung data, no? The next, ito yung mga yung mga examples ng potential breaches, no. Just make it quick na lang, no. Potential breaches, yan yung mga examples, no. Yan. And also the potential penalties under the Privacy Act. So makikita niyo na dito, no. So hindi ko na siya di-discuss one by one. So you can have a copy of this one, no, para makita ninyo, no, kung gaano kataas ang degree, no, nung na-violate ninyo, no. Let's say unauthorized processing, access due to negligence, makikita mo dito. And well, very simple, no, na sinabi ni Commissioner Liboro na ang unang-una na talaga nilang titingnan dyan is kung ini-implement mo ba yung tinatawag na 5 data privacy guidelines or yung 5 pillars. No? Kahit na gaano pa ka-complex yung security measures mo, everything, wala silang pakialam dyan. Ang titingnan lang nila dyan yung 5 pillars. Okay? So yun. Then next, adherence to data privacy principles. So we have transparency, legitimate purpose, and proportionality, as discussed earlier. No, kailangan the moment na nag-collect ka ng data, kailangan maging transparent, and then of course kailangan mo i-disclose lahat, for legitimate purpose, and then proportionality, ng data. Okay, so yan, The next, unang-una, very important na kailangan for example, me as the data controller, kailangan up to date yung data, kasi kung hindi na updated ang data, nagba-violate pa rin tayo dun sa RA 10173. For example, nag-apply ka ng trabaho, nakalagay dun sa resume mo na you're single, but after 3 days ikakasal ka na, so by the time na integrate ka na dun sa kumpanya, dapat updated na rin yung information mo na dapat ang status mo is no longer single, should be married na. Okay? So something like that. Okay? So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, na 5 pillars of compliance na hinahanap ni National Privacy Commission, na dapat nasusunod. Okay? So basically yan. And well, ito naman yung tinatawag na kumbaga meron kasing mga institutions and government agencies na kumbaga parang one-star compliant lang. Kumbaga parang nag-set lang sila ng default na data privacy officer, and then that's it. Nag-submit na sila kung sino yung data privacy officer, pero hindi pa sila nag-submit kung ano yung mga specific policies and privacy notice na ini-implement nila sa kanilang mga institutions. So ito yung mga criteria or actually yung ranking provided by the National Privacy Commission kung nasaan. So basically makikita mo yung school mo, yung government agency kung nasaan dito, you will have a clear basis kasi makikita dyan kung ano lang yung mga sinagmit niyo sa National Privacy Commission, kung ano lang yung ni-report niyo, yun lang yung magiging basis nila as rank according to 1-star to 5-star compliant. Okay, so basically that's about it in the data privacy. Then let's go right away to the Capstone project versus Thesis. Well, I will just give you an idea or an insight particularly in the Capstone project. The reason why I also included Thesis is because it says there that the Thesis and Capstone are actually similar, but they also have fundamental differences. Now let's go on the focus. Kung saan focus si Capstone and Thesis. Now both Capstone projects and thesis should have a clear statement of problem or issue to be addressed, a literature review which covers the important work related to the problem with the content clearly relating to the statement of the problem, analysis of results, and statement of conclusions. Well, normally sa Capstone, hindi na namin nilalagay yung statement of the problem. Diretso na kagad kami sa sa background and then the objectives. So yun yung approach na ginagawa namin. Kasi normally sa Capstone naman kami kasi it involves a development sa amin. Later on discuss din natin yun dito. The next, the thesis naman should answer a question which contributes to new knowledge and is generalizable beyond a single setting. Basically, the thesis should be analytic, should systematically analyze data, and should develop and make appropriate inferences based on the analysis. So parang let's say in another perspective, a Capstone project is different than a thesis, as in how you demonstrate your knowledge. So in contrast naman, the goal of a thesis is to become a mini expert in a given field by researching the let's say the answer to a question or exploring the impact of the assumption, or let's say the hypothesis. Okay, so something like that. And then next, the Capstone project may answer a question of a practical importance, basically to develop test, and evaluate a solution. So yun nga sinasabi ko kanina, ang Capstone kasi ginagamit namin, for example, me as an IT, no, sa information technology kami, ang Capstone Project kasi ang gamit namin. So basically, we develop, no, i-document namin yan, at the same time, i-develop namin siya. No? And then, i-evaluate namin yung solution na ginawa namin using that system. No? So, ganun siya. And then, in terms of originality naman, I would say na capstone projects are not expected, no, to be earth-shattering or potentially even original. No? They are used to demonstrate that you can draw together your classroom experiences in applied projects. So basically, parang ang ginagawa kasi sa capstone, no, meron na kaming basis, no? Meron na kaming basis, tapos gagawa na kagad kami. Extract na kagad namin dun sa basis namin yung conceptual framework, no? Gagawa na kagad kami ng input, process, output, no? And then i-apply na namin yan doon by using a pre-processing procedure naman dun sa system. Paano namin ipaprocess yung data, no? So yun. And the next, we have the thesis, no? So we have the thesis. Your work is expected to be original naman, no? You are contributing knowledge to the SE field, no? So yun yung difference niya. And then for the write-up naman, Capstone, since you demonstrate your knowledge in a project by building a product, no, or a system, only a brief report is required, no. So mas specific siya, no. So yun. And then the thesis naman is actually detailed, no. It's more detailed document that describes all the network or all the work, I mean, that you've done from the initial narrowing of the thesis topic through the final analysis of results. So that's actually the difference, no. And then also the thesis demonstrate that you have become a MENA expert, no, as I mentioned earlier. And for the presentation naman, the capstone, the final difference actually, no, is the approach or the presentation. So with the project, you focus on look what I build. So basically talagang nagfo-focus siya dun sa ano namin sa chapter 4, no, kung paano nagpa-process sa system in terms of accuracy, reliability, security. So meron kaming measurement na ginagamit, let's say the ISO the ISO IEC, no, yun yung ginagamit namin, no, para maging basis in terms of quality of the system, reliability, functionality, and so on and so forth. So meron kaming basis, no. And then for the thesis naman, shows that you have mastered, no, in a particular subject area. So yun yung pinaka-difference nila, no. And I would like to show you the sample capstone format, no. Well, normally nilagay ko dito is yung steps, no. Ito yung kumaga parang common steps na ginagamit, no, sa capstone project, no. So basically we have how to choose a topic for capstone project. So andyan yung mga examples sa baba, no? You can see there. And then for the step 2, we have the abstract of the project, no? And now yung mga question dyan, why are you writing the project on the following topic? So yun yung mga example, no, na mga questions, no? And then for step 3, we have the context page, okay? And then step 4, we have the introduction. Okay, so kung napansin niyo medyo ibang approach, pero halos similar pa rin siya actually, no, sa thesis, no. And then next we have step 5, we have the literary review or the review of related literature, no. And then next we have the research methodology, no, meron din yan sa thesis. And then step 7, we have critical analysis of research results, okay. And also we have conclusion, no. And then the last, we have the citation. Well, normally ako nire-recommend ko, no, APA, no, version 6 or version 7 will do, pero depende sa ating research director, no, kung ano yung ire-recommend niya, no, na gagamitin for the Philippine Christian University. Well, very particular din ako in terms of plagiarism, no? That's why as much as possible, no, alam niyo yung principles or yung types ng plagiarism, no. And of course, meron tayong mga ginagamit ng mga special tools, no, for be able to to check, no, on how high or low is the plagiarism percentage of your paper, no, particularly in the thesis and the dissertation. Okay, so I think that's about it. Dr. Mateo, Doc Matt, thank you, and keep in touch, and you can see my email there if you have questions. clarifications, you can actually shoot me an email at augustanthony.balute@pcu.edu.ph. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc August. So I think that is would be more appropriate, no, if we look into the importance of your discussion sharing this afternoon with respect to how we take care of data, especially with panel data, now that we are also looking into our instrumentation at the same time the collection of data, where our students are in the management area, you know, and also in the education area, where some of our researchers might need a huge data, no? So how do we take care of that, and how we can make our respondents also secure, no, in terms of uh, authenticity, and at the same time securing their integrity, you know, as a part of the study. So with this one, let me share this certificate of appreciation. The Philippine Christian University awards the certificate of appreciation to Dr. August Anthony and Balute for his valuable insights as resource speaker during the webinar discourse session on demystifying graduate research output, given this 18th day of April 2021, Manila, Philippines. Signed, President Junifen F. Guanan. Thank you so much, Doc August.
Thank you so much, Doc Matt, and thank you so much to our president, Dr. Gawan. Thank you, pa.
Okay. Now, at this point, I think this is important. We have around 140 plus participants this afternoon. No? These are students enrolled in the thesis and master's program, and also students which are in the PhD, and those still in the core courses, no, for master's program, but eventually they will take up their units on research for both thesis and project. Now, as we open the forum, no, let me just say something to our participants that this is day one of our 3-day, no, presentation of topics regarding things that we need to ascertain about research in the graduates program. Now we have allotted topics that would be more or less specific, you know, to the needs of the students. So for the second day, which will be on Sunday, we have to go and walk through Dr. Barbie's sharing on qualitative protocols, as mentioned earlier, another research design or approach. This is on exploratory, could be both, no, use of the interview, focus group discussion, narratives, grounding of concepts, no, coming from the respondents. So that would be also specific, no, those that will benefit on that kind of design. No? And then we will have statistics. So more on statistics by Dr. Bengo. So he will share on the normal inferential or descriptive statistics, which are very, of course, needed as compliance, no, when we analyze our data. And then the third speaker from Open University of Sudan, Dr. Sala, is here. So she is joining us, or he has joining us to this afternoon. So she will talk about on Sunday about feasibility and project, no, design, no, for business. No? So she's into economics and business in the University of Sudan, or Open University of Sudan. So three uh, resource speakers on Sunday. And on the third Sunday, we shall have another specific discussion on action research. Our speaker is also present this afternoon. So we have Dr. Leo this afternoon. No? So He is now with us. So on May 2, so he will talk about action research. And we also have Dr. and attorney Bu Castro will talk about medical research. And then the third one, how do we communicate research, no, in terms of our perhaps output, no, presentation of our output. And I think this is very important, no, because most in the concept of impact research, which I think mentioned by both administrators, the president himself and the director for research and publication, it does not stop in the library, or it does not stop with you, no. So we have to communicate our output, we have to communicate our results. And Dr. Mercy Labial, no, can, I think, in his expertise, can look into those discussions. Now, I'm saying this one because maybe there might be some questions or clarifications which will be reserved for the next webinar. No? So those are the topics for the next webinar. So we have the statistics, and then we have the action research, qualitative protocols, and we have medical research, and then we have feasibility and business research for the next webinar sessions. No? So with that, no, our open forum is open. So if there are clarifications, we still have our speakers this afternoon to maybe enlighten us on some of our questions or queries or any other matters arising from the discussion. Okay, please just raise your hand to be acknowledged. Ariel Kuy. Yes, good afternoon. Yes, Ariel, you're raising your hand.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I just want to address this question to Sir, to Dr. August Balute. I just have some clarification. Um, this is regarding because since I am under the course of crisis management and disaster resiliency, and as of now I'm under construction industry as a health and safety consultant. So I decided to use as part of my thesis topic is the incident investigation and at the same time the risk assessment. Um, if ever doc the incident, because what the thesis will be based on a realistic accident that really occurs on the project that I'm holding. Although at that area it is not specifically where the area I'm assigned of, but it is still beyond the project control. So I want to use that incident to be part of my thesis. Is the RA 10173 still uh, affect on that thesis if I'm going to use the real name or the actual name, it's including the company, even if the accident have occurred outside the Philippines? Will I encounter any problem?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, no.
Yes, Doc, loud and clear.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Well, by the way, let me just ask first now.
Okay, I think while waiting for Dr. August, no? So if I may say something on that, just we can wait for a reservation of a certain minute if Dr. August can join us. No? Okay, there's a message here. Dr. Matt, am I correct that our non-thesis requirement is a capstone? While hearing Dr. August's discussion on capstone, I was intrigued, no, in the area of a lot of algorithms. No, we have the same. I think the president can join me on this. No, the capstone and the thesis or the project, it has still the same stomach. No, I think it follows the same pathway, no, in terms of research, that there is a problem to solve, that there is a design, that there is a lot of justifications in terms of related literature that would justify the problem, and there is also a discussion results. There is also analysis, and at the end there is a conclusion, no, on a particular problem presented. Now, in terms of the format, uh, the capstone, I think it has a dedicated chapter.
But I got disconnected. Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
So sorry.
Yes, Doc August.
Sorry.
A while, Doc August. Okay.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I got
No
disconnected.
problem.
Going back with Mr. Pui.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you.
you repeat your question again? Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, Doc, because since I'm on the part of a program of crisis management and disaster resiliency, and as part of my current job as a health and safety consultant right now here in the Philippines, so what I'm planning to use as part of my thesis is one of the project that I have encountered abroad, which we encounter some major incident on the area, and at the same time, although it is not really my area, but it is part of the project, which is other on duty on the area was my colleague. If I'm going to use those incident as part of the thesis, will I encounter any problem if I'm going to use the real name and the company name on the thesis under the 10173, since that the incident happened outside Philippines?
Yes, that's a good question, Mr. Pui. Well, actually, it's still, as I mentioned earlier, that the National Privacy or the Data Privacy Act 10173 is actually based on the GDPR, which is the regulating body, or international regulating body in terms of data processing privacy. Now, if you're going to use the real name of that particular company, first we need to to do the basic data life cycle approach that I discussed earlier, which is the data subject or the company itself should have you must have a consent for that particular project para magamit mo siya so basically you need to get a consent from that particular company, especially if you're going to use the real name and all of the data but my question there, the data that you will be using, is that the most recent data or not updated or old data, should I say? Is it the most recent data, or what type of data is that?
Actually, the data is, of course, including their names, the
Mhm.
the the incident area. The project is already completed, although it's completed, but also, of course,
Oh,
the
okay.
company is the company now had got a project here in the Philippines. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I was thinking of. But
Mhm.
if if you would correct me if I'm wrong, is it possible that in case, of course, as you had agreed that I may have encountered any problem with those 10173, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm going to use, let's say, to change the name and also the name of those victims, including those persons that who might considered to be liable on the incident because of their negligence, and at the same time put a disclaimer on the thesis report, will that be useful, and or will that be considered also?
Okay. Well, actually, again, in adherence to the data privacy principles, number one is the transparency and, of course, the legitimate purpose. Now, let's see if you're going to use we're not going to use the real name of the company, or let's say the detailed data, for example. Well, if there's a way, that you can possibly hide, the information, for example, let's say name, you can actually hide it using a set of series of numbers, for example, 1126 under your name, something like that. Actually, it's possible, for as long as you hide the identity, of the data, it's perfectly fine. And of course, number one, again, going back, very important, that you need to get their consent, before you can use the data.
Even if the
So
data belongs to me, Doc.
even though, yes, because you may be the controller of the data, but what do you call this? That actually data, is actually belong, well, actually, let me let me clarify this, again, if you're using data, particularly in research, first you must inform, the respondent, and in any form of research, dapat alam yan ng data subject, or the company itself, or the beneficiary itself, because you will be using and processing their data, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin kasi na sa'yo yung data, you're actually just processing on behalf of them. So, kumbaga parang ano yan I would say na hinira mo yung data, though you actually created the idea, na ikaw yung nag-structure on how to construct the data and everything, pero yung data pa rin nanggaling pa rin sa kanila yan So kailangan pa rin talaga may consent yan. And yun nga sinabi ko sa iyo kanina na it's possible, for as long as you will use a special, identification or unique identification, by hiding their real identity. It's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, Doc. Thank you very much, Doc.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a clear answer, because in the process of defending your paper or presenting your paper, even in the proposal or the concept, as mentioned by the president, there will always be committee that would be meticulous in looking into how and where do we get our data. So important thing is that there is consent. There is the integrity, on how data can be treated, and how respondents can be kept in with utmost confidentiality, in the research proceedings. Okay, thank you, Ariel. Now, Doc Eileen is raising her hand. Yes, Doc Eileen.
Sir, good afternoon. Question po is addressed to Professor Balute. Sir, in making a capstone, is it necessary to test the project? Is that the outcome that is expected, or just basing on the conceptual framework, just doing ano ba yun? Parang guidelines on how the project will develop, or paano yung project? Tama po ba yung iniisip ko?
Yeah, I think that's a valid question. Yes, Doc Uy, Doc August.
Yes, thank you, Doc Matt. Well, thank you for that question. Well, actually, the Capstone Project actually answer, a specific or a question of practical importance, basically, dun sa focus siya on developing, testing, and of course, very important to evaluate, a solution. So basically, katulad kanina, nabanggit ko na meron kaming criteria ng mga ginagamit, na particularly the best industry practice standards, which is the ISO/ISC 25010, to be specific. So meron kaming tinatawag na walang dimension, which is yung functionality, reliability, accessibility, and so yun yung mga criteria, to measure, yung or to test the system. For example, on how accurate it can predict, siguro a specific function or output. So basically, yun yung mga basis namin. So going back to your question, again, ang importante dyan is to basically to, number one, develop, and to test the development and evaluate a solution. Basically, to measure the quality of both, or to measure the quality, of the Capstone project, which actually relates to the clarity of thought process. So yun yung approach po natin doon, Doc Eileen.
Yeah. So how long or how many? Maybe how long? How long am I? Would it entail for me to determine that it is significant? Diba? Kasi diba sabi mo, it's formulating and then testing. The testing part, sir, how long or how many subjects, or is it like in a thesis na you determine a significant population or something? Hindi naman.
Well, actually, it depends kung anong approach dun sa methodology mo talaga yan. No?
Okay. Sige po.
Nakadepende
Okay.
sa methodology mo.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
But I think Capstone is a welcome approach, no? Especially those under the project track, no? So I think the message here is that from the design to the planning to the management, and then to the implementation, and then to the feedback, no? So the success story here is how well that your study able to work, no, to answer a certain problem, no? So yeah. Yes,
Dr.
President.
Capstone should be focused on actual work.
Correct.
Ang point nun is dapat makatulong kayo sa organization nyo. Kung kumari sa business, you don't need to, you can make an entire feasibility study, or pwedeng marketing study lang, financial study, organizational study, and the format can be flexible because actually it already includes, in effect, all the required knowledge by the master thesis. Kaya lang simplified and focused towards actual application so that makakontribute ka agad kayo sa company niyo.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
That is a valid approach, President, right? Very, very valid approach, design.
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions, please? So we can't thank you enough, our speakers, Dr. August Balute, Dr. Vera, Dr. Boyet. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I am indebted, no? So we have the certificates, we have the e-certificates, so I'll just contact you personally. We would like to thank the President for joining. Thank you so much, President, for gracing our this is actually second of your presence, no? On our webinar session, no? And we would like to thank also Dr. Margie and then Dr. Jaime for also joining this afternoon session. And we would like to call in our some of our professors to say something as we end this session on takeaways. So we have Dr. Lorna Adelaide, Enrico Santos, and Dr. Judith Batin. No? So maybe they can share something to close this session. Yes.
Okay, ako ba, sir? Sir?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Okay, one of the takeaways is stressed by our resources speaker, the President Guanan. I took note of the objective of the research. So it addresses the purpose, and looking at the objectives, one can anticipate what is to be achieved by the study. And then we have the literature review, ang paborito ko, which guides us in writing our research. It says that it should be related to your topic. And then the third one is the problem of your research. So we should know the problem so you'll find it easy what to look for in your research. Because if you do not know the problem, you'll find it hard what to look for in your research. At doon naman kay Dr. ang Jaime, it's about the use of qualitative research, and it says that it should be more interesting and demanding, and the paper must answer the school agenda, and research must be in innovative platform, and it should be a high impact research. Sa kay Dr. Batang, okay, ways to collect information. We have the interviewing, focus groups, at least mga 8 participants daw, and observation and questionnaires. Okay, yun lang po, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lorna Adelaide. So I think that bullseyes this afternoon's discussion. So we would like to thank everyone for joining. May I request our participants if you can share your video so we can have a photo opportunity for all of us present this afternoon. Thank you so much. I'll have 5 screens here. So I think we can have 20 seconds of our best smiles. I don't know which screen you are part of, but let's just keep our smiles. Okay, so please join us. Let's have 5 seconds so others can bring down their video, muted video. Okay, sorry. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think we're in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, next slide, please. Just continue. I have the third slide screen. Thank you. Next, the fourth. Okay, I have the fifth. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So hope to see you on Sunday. May we request all the students to please stay for a while for some of the additional information. For those only enrolled for master's thesis, no? So please stay. We have our professors here to give us some of the updates, okay? Because we still have to submit something for May 15. So thank you so much, President, for joining.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bless
Thank
all of
you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Okay. So good afternoon, students. Good afternoon. So thank you for joining. As mentioned earlier, we still have 2 more Sundays to go. So maybe some of your questions are not yet, somehow there are still some gray areas on looking at how. But what is important, we have already the president this afternoon giving us the concept of what research thesis, both thesis and dissertation for PCU. So we know exactly that we have a president that we can hopefully rely on, na may mga request tayo na pwede niyang i-grant, or kung ano mang meron tayo sa group natin ng Collab, So I think that's the reason why I secure that the president would be present this afternoon, para straight from us malalaman niya kung anong status tayo dito sa ating pag-aaral. And we also have our research and publication director. So importante din 'yon kasi lahat naman dadaan sa kanila, ang ating mga papel, whether it is a project or it is a thesis. And then I'm planning also hopefully that I can invite the next Sunday your respective deans, dean ng mga programs, kasi sila din ang magsa-sign, no, sa inyong mga TOR, no? So hopefully you can see them and hear from them, no? Kasi at the end sila din ang in charge, no, sa ating mga papers or documents, no? Especially isang semester na lang ang ating kulang para sa ating comprehensive exam, no? So I think the PCU main is preparing for this another, hopefully for sure, no, the comprehensive exam will be done online, no, but let's have that in the next semester. So what we are looking forward now is our requirement for this course, no, which is on thesis and project. So we have here our professors, no, Dr. Adalid, Dr. Batin, and then Dr. Santos. So that you can always, other students are asking if there is a particular class, no, for this course. So we have done this so we can listen to other people around, and yun talaga ang pinaka-mission doon is para ma-invite natin yung PCU main administrators na straight to them, no? We learn ano ba talaga ang ini-expect nila, no? Kasi ito yung pinaka-terminal na requirement sa ating program. And I know how much this of value, no? So I think nasagot na yung issue about can we do it by collaboratively? Yes, no? Some students are asking now. Hindi po ngayon mag-decide, no? Hindi po ngayong araw pag na-submit niyo, sir, 4 po kami sa isang group, paki-approve. Hindi po yun ina-approve na okay, 4 na, okay na. Hindi po, no? Pwedeng ang submission sa May 15 collaborative. Okay? Kasi ito yung working pa, no? We're still into creating a skeletal, no? Kasi ito yung preparation para mabilis tayo, no? So yung mga professors ngayon will grade you on your course, no, which is what you are enrolled now. Okay? So what does it mean? What is the challenge? Kasi may iba nag-submit, ito yung mga titles namin, sir, paki-approve kung anong meron diyan maganda. No, it's not the case, no? So you have to work, no? You have to work now which is best for me, no? Para magka-grade ka ngayong May 15. Now, if that will be approved, no, through consultation, kung talagang you do extra mile, no, na gusto namin ito na yung aming thesis or project. So you can talk to your professors, then they can help you. Kasi there will be a panel, no? May set of panels to look for the paper. So isasubmit kasi natin yan sa PCU main. So may mga panel, may mga evaluators, no? And then yun naman ang promise ni President, no? If they can see that the project is worth of a collaborative, why not, no? So bakit hindi, no? Kung talagang pang-collaborative siya, no? Hindi siya pang isang tao lang. Okay? Kaya ang advice ko dun sa mga nag-submit na pa-approve yung title, pa-approve yung wala pa, no? You have to work with that, no? Kasi yun ang requirement natin, eh, no? So you have to present us. Now, may iba naman nagsabi, eh sir, baka sayang yung panahon namin. Kaya nga, you give us justification. Ito yung mga related lit na gather namin, no? Para yung there is really urgency kasi we can approve any title, eh, no? And then but we cannot say na this is good for 4 people. Eh title lang nakita namin, eh, no? Hindi pa namin nakita yung ano ba yung para saan ba to? Gaano ba ka-importante ito para magiging 4 ang tao na mag-work, no? So I think that's the message, no? So you give us that concept, you give us that justification, no? And nagmi-meet naman yung kaming professors, no, na anytime we are there to help. Kaya yung may mga nag-message na paki-approve yung title, may 4 akong title, paki-approve saan doon ang mas maganda. Hindi kami ang mag-decide, no? So kayo yung magbigay sa amin ng urgency, yung justification ba na oh, ito yung sa amin, no? Okay? So, and then we vouch. Kasi the interest will always be on the side of the student, di ba? Kasi the advisor will just advise. So it's it is in the student's interest on how, and then we just vouch on whatever it is until the end, no? That we fight as one. So you give us that paper, no? Okay? So yun ang para sa May 15, no? Yun ang ating that's the thing that we need to grade this semester. Okay? Now, if that is pag may kulang, halimbawa, kulang yung mga related lit or justification, or there's a need for an instrument that you have to go with this, Dr. Balute may help you how to gather this data or panel na malaking data or what, no? Or the system. So that will follow after. That will be the next semester. Kasi next semester you will have to depend na your proposal, no? So itong ginagawa natin ngayong STEM, I don't know if the word is chillax lang, no? So ito yung ano yung kaya natin doon sa format, no? Kasi iba-iba kasing pacing tayo eh. Yung iba talaga ready na, no problem. Okay? Yung iba naman nagko-conceptualize pa lang, so no problem. Okay? Lahat tayo nasa pandemic. Alam natin yung mga limitations, maraming limitations, no? So, huwag tayong matakot na hindi natin kaya ang May 15. Okay? So, kaya natin yung May 15. So, ang ipapasa sa May 15, ano yung sa tingin natin kaya. But we have to be resolved na next semester talagang kakayanin natin double time, no? Double effort kasi yun na yung last sem natin, no? Okay? So I hope yung iba hindi na di-discourage na ano ba tong pinasok ko, no? So magtutulungan tayo, no? So kasi may iba kasi na ang teacher ang magdi-decide eh, hindi, no? Eh kayo eh, dapat ang pulso nasa inyo, no? So, this is what we want. Ito yung nag-gather namin, sir. So, give us that, kumbaga, offer us that convincing, no, document or something that you can present to us that talagang, wow, this is worth for a 3-person or what, no, if you want. So, yung requirement sa semester na to, pwedeng isa, pwedeng dalawa, pwedeng tatlo. Okay? Basta maipakita doon na talagang that is worth a grade of 3 people working together. Okay? Now, we don't know in the next semester if you can still work with that, no, by 3 members. Kasi dapat may impact talaga yung pangtatluhan kasi ipapasa natin yon with your names, no? Makikita doon nila kung approve ba to for a thesis, for a project, no? So yun ang ating proseso, no? So I hope naiintindihan. Okay? So any questions on that?
Sir, does that mean,
yes, sige.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Does that mean yung this May 15,
okay,
ang isasubmit is more of skeletal framework?
Correct. Yung may introduction, may
Yes.
mayroong format, okay? So if I may share again, no, yung ating discussion last meeting. So can you see my screen?
Yes po.
Okay. So dito na tayo. So ito pa rin, no? Ito pa rin yung ating format. Introduction, rationale, research objectives, literature review, research design, conclusion, but not the real count of words, no? Okay, so dito kasi na magmamatter yung grading natin ngayong SEM. Kung gaano ba yan ka lalim, gaano ba yan ka solid, gaano ba yan ka kompleto, okay? So doon ang grading, no? So again, you can have this one individually or a partner. it's up to you, no? Doon magmamatter yung grading, di ba? But kung ito ay talagang ready na for next semester, then we will cross fingers na the PCU will approve. Of course, I will work for that, no? Kasi this is my group, no? So ipaglalaban natin 'yon for PCU to approve that you can work out with this as a group, no? So kaya yung sinabi last meeting, dalawa kasi ang ginagawa natin ngayon. Ito yung pang May 15 at saka ito yung pang thesis na or pang project na, no? So mas maganda kung yung inumpisahan mo, yun na talaga ang na-convince ka na yun na yung topic, no? Hindi lang yun ang pang-grade mo sa May 15. Okay? So sa May 15 wala pa namang ini-expect na results and discussion eh. So it's just the format, no? Malagyan lang siya ng laman. Okay? Skeletal, no? At least alam na namin kung ano yung design mo, ano yung dahil dito sa ating mga webinar session, no? So meron ka ng idea how to construct, no? So ayun, ito yung ating magiging output. Okay? So did I answer that, Ms. Doc Gutierrez?
Yes po, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Meron pa ba?
Hello, Doc. Can I ask po?
Yes, Tin.
Oo. Doc, I don't know if this was already asked before, pero pwede po bang gamitin ang previous study, say for example, 2005 research, and then can we adapt it now for our study?
Research will always be research is a series of verification. What we are studying right now are researches of the past, no? We just simply want to answer a new phenomenon, a new problem, a new lens, no? So whether it is done in the past, ang importante doon, are the data still valid, di ba? That's my question eh. So if you want to use 2005, what is in there? Are you talking about the data used? No, I don't think so. It's still applicable today, no? Baka marami nang nangyayari dun sa data na kailangan dapat bago. Tama?
Okay, Doc.
Oo.
Noted.
Walang
Thank you.
problema. Research is a series of done in the past. We just have to update it, or there's a rising problem that we need to answer, or a practical solution perhaps, no? So walang problema. Okay? Pero pag ang data kasi tinitignan nila, no? Kung kailan na-gather ang data, kailan available ang data. So pag nag-study ka ngayon 2021 tapos ang data mo 2010, so I think marami nang nangyari, no, over the years, which may bring about a really huge change, no, in the results. Okay? Mag-iiba ang ano doon eh, results kasi masyadong hindi naman obsolete pero masyadong behind ang data, no? At unless if it is historical, so no problem. Yes, Ariel.
Hi, Doc. Sorry. Itatanong ko ulit kasi when it comes to the age of the data. Let's say, Doc, kasi yung, kung doon sa thesis namin, when in fact that although the document is, let's say, around years ago, pero yung point kasi namin doon is that the incident, especially in the health and safety, continuously kasi yan sa construction. So the point of our thesis there is to let the people know kung saan parati kung bakit hindi yung aksidente hindi naiiwasan sa construction because of the failure of the investigation of the incident. Kasi mostly nagiging common na lang sa mga construction industry, let's say pag halimbawa may nakuryente or nagkasunog, sasabihin na lang nila automatically doon sa conclusion, loose connection. Pero yung point kasi ng study na, let's say on my part, is to point out na hindi lang dapat humihinto doon sa loose connection ang conclusion or let's say ang pinaka findings. Yun yung point ko. So as of this moment, continuously kasi ang construction nagkakaroon pa rin ng incident because some of the investigation is a failure. Kumbaga, they could not really find the root cause. That's the reason the incident always reoccur on the construction industry. So that's one of the point of my thesis is to let them know how really to update on the incident investigation. I think that's still acceptable, right?
Yeah, there is no problem. Okay, if the study needs a dummy, there is a mathematical tool, no? They call it dummy to, I think mentioned by Doc August. If you want to see prediction, if you want to see the trend, no, in the series of data, then you put certain dummy, no. So when you say dummy, you need a lot of a huge data to determine at this point in time, no, in production. Let's say 3 years ago nagkaroon ng EDSA revolution, nagkaroon ng ganito, so at that particular periods, no, kasi parang ganun ang gusto mong mangyari eh. So it's
yes, no.
continuous, but you need the older data to prove the trend, to prove something, no, whether it is looking into a regression ba or a certain degree of effect, no, o multiplier ba yung gusto mong ipakita, no, that is valid, no. So there's no problem with that. What is emphasized here is that as long as the data is still relevant in the study, why not, no? Okay, so
yes, no, indeed. Tama yung sinabi niyo.
The problem, no, how the problem can be resolved, or how you can put light to the problem and put forward a new knowledge with the set of data that you have. Now, unless if that data is not anymore valid, no, to answer a particular phenomenon, then that will greatly change, affect, no, generalization. So makikita kasi yan ng panel later kung bakit ito yung ginamit mo, why not a new set of data. So it depends on the problem. No worry on that.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Henry is raising his hand. Yes, Doc Henry. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I missed the name of the. Sorry, I missed the name of the one who asked the question before Mr. Ariel.
Yeah.
I think the question is about reliability. Can the research be replicated? It depends on the it depends on the conditions. Mare-replicate mo ba? Baka yun yung context ng tanong, can I use the same research that I did before? Yes, you can do that. We call it replication, but you have to give it a different perspective. And in the context of research, we call it reliability. And there are two reliabilities, no, internal and external. Anyway, baka yun, Doc yung context ng tinatanong niya. Pwede niya bang ma-replicate yung research niya? Not the word is not to use, rather to replicate the research. So, basta all conditions are met, like gusto mong gawin yon, ginawa mo sa ibang school, gagawin mo sa school mo ngayon, ginawa mo before, yun, we call it replication. Just to address the question asked earlier before Mr. Puy. Yun lang, Doc Matt.
Thank you, Doc, for that answer.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you on that. Okay. If there are none, so I would like to thank each and everyone. Yes, Ed, you're raising your hand. I think we can have the last one. Unmute, please. We can't hear you.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc. Sorry po. Tanong ko lang po, Doc, kasi yung group namin haven't decided yet kung mag-i-individual kami or mag-group of 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
Ang concern kasi nila is how much are we going to spend to do this research? Of course, we provide kami ng tuition for that. But yung usual kasing thesis na naririnig ko and thesis or research na na-experience nila during their defense, eh may bayad po yung panel. So how will be what will be the setup, and yun ang tanong, how much are we gonna spend for this so that we will know, we can decide now if we're going to do it on our own or group of 2, 3, or 4.
How much? So that is referring to monetary, that's budget. Now, you know, if subjects, if that is purposive, so you know already who will answer your question, who will answer, who are the respondents, and then make a way, you know, to reach them. I think that is less of a problem.
Ang gusto nila malaman, Doc, yung yung
setup of
uupong panel. I think nagbabayad before. I mean, yung usual na research pag dinidefend na, di ba po, nagbabayad yata?
Sorry. Yung research, nasa nasa schedule of matriculation. So I think I need to send it again. So dun sa ating first sem, first try, second try, third try, nag-iiba yung ating tuition fee kasi meron na siyang naka-embed na mga other payments. Meron na ngang dun sa third try natin, may naka-embed na dun na pang reserve ng TOGA, ng graduation. Meron na dun eh. So I think that's already in the schedule. Okay? So kumbaga yung buong package ng inyong study nandun, no? So if I'm not mistaken, halimbawa sa PhD, so parang nasa umaabot ata ng 100 something because of, kasi mas mahal ang kanilang dissertation, 12 units, ganyan. So yun lang ang the moment kasi I'm relying on the TCU. So I think every document I have, you have, no? So yun ang ating listahan talaga. But if you will ask me if there are other payments, I will update you. I will update the group. Okay? So
okay, thank you, Doc.
But for me, kung ano yung nandun sa ating schedule, yun ang ating yun ang pinanghawakan natin ngayon. So lahat tayo, pati ako, yun ang concept ko doon. Kasi nag-iiba kasi ang payment kasi meron ng graduation, meron ng payment sa, I don't know kung may thesis na doon eh, parang something like that. So if you will
Doc,
ask,
can we have that updated yun, yung list ng payment?
I will.
Before the 17th or the 15th.
Oo. Wala namang nagbago ata eh.
Okay. Okay po.
Yung ganun pa rin, yung first try, third try, second try, third try. Nandun pa rin yung listahan, lahat ng mga other details on miscellaneous and mga extra from the semester, no? Yung I think nakalagay na nga ata doon yung comprehensive exam fee, no? So
okay.
may summary na eh.
Yes, sir.
Tama ba?
Sir, yeah, I remember that, sir. Can I butt in?
Yes.
Kasi before, yung sa pinadala nyo, iba yung price noong non-thesis at saka thesis. So, mas mahal talaga yung tuition doon sa may thesis. Pero now, di ba, nagbago. Yung baga, wala nang non-thesis, yung project. Project na. Kaya,
36 na lahat tayo ngayon eh. 36.
So, nagpareho na yung babayaran ng non-thesis and thesis, right?
So I'll update you on that, ha? Thank you for that, Ed. Salamat doon. So, and also for the people, I will update, yes. Okay, what else?
At last na.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So, just to clarify po.
Go ahead, Christine. Nawala.
Phoebe.
Okay.
Sorry
yes.
po.
Go ahead.
How how are we going to be notified if we can proceed with that with our research already? Is it our grade itself?
No. I think by June. 'Di ba
All right.
meron tayong isasubmit sa May 15. Tama?
Yes po.
Okay. Yung isasubmit natin lahat sa May 15, isasubmit ko sa PCU. Okay? So ito na yung mga possible na gusto ng mga estudyante para sa kanilang terminal requirement. And then nandun naman si Doc Ang kanina, no? So they will take care of that, no? And then definitely I will rally on that, of course, no?
Thank you, sir.
So kaya nga pilit kong palaging nandito si President para may ano tayo, no? Kumbaga may mas maganda yung ating relasyon, no, dun sa organization, no? Kasi doon kasi tayo sa organization nila, no? And that is also the reason why I'm thinking right now if we can invite the deans, no? Kasi may mga deans kayo eh, no? So maybe they can also speak on the program, no? Kasi definitely they will be part of that, no? So as early as now. So yun ang iniisip ko. So maybe by on Sunday we can have, no? Yung mga makilala natin yung mga deans kasi we are part of the management program.
Salamat, sir.
Yeah, sad to say yung head natin si Dr. Don yun ang namatay, no? So yun sana ang matanungan ko kasi nasa Messenger nag-uusap kami. Kaya hindi ko alam kung sino ngayon ang pumalit sa kanya. But I will update you on that, no? So definitely nasa listahan ko na i-invite siya. Baka may mga research agenda din siya or of course alam na naman natin kung anong yung research agenda ng PCU. So baka meron din siya, no? What is this? A line or something like specific to the discipline or what, no? So pwede siyang makashare, no? Para meron tayong map din, no? Concept map, no? Doon sa program na enrolled tayo. Okay, thanks Christine. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, clear. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, sana po klaro ang ating mga requirements, no, para sa May 15. Okay? So wag po tayong matakot. Gawin lang po natin kung ano yung talagang kaya natin. For as long as, yung condition natin na pag tayo ay may na-approve na, no, doon sa ating pinasa, we have to double time, no? Kung yung iba nauna na sa atin, so we have to double time, no? Na by next semester we can fast track kasi yung ating defense mangyayari ata after the compre, no? So definitely by October, November magko-compre na kayo, no? So after that, ayun na, thesis na or project presentation. Okay? So next Sunday, we shall hear other views on research, and then I invited colleagues, no? Kasi sila din ang pwedeng tumulong sa atin. Kasi we will have some advisors, some services that we need to if there are, no? So yung ini-invite ko na statistician si Dr. Bengo, meron silang mga services na ganun, no? Si Dr. Labial, si Dr. Labial meron din siyang services about researches, thesis and dissertation, no? Yung mga meron siyang team, no? That can help students, no, kung kailangan talaga ng intervention, no, para matapos ang research. Okay, so when their time comes, so they can, we get to know them. Okay, so if there are no more clarifications, let's call this a day. So thank you so much again for joining. Hope to see you on next Sunday. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Doc.
Bye, Doc.
Keep
Thank
safe,
you.
Bye,
everyone.
Doc. Thank you.
Bye, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Bye, Doc. Bye po.
Ay, sorry. Dr. Chonglo, may conclusion na po ba ang proposal? Meron po. Ang conclusion dito is hindi based on the data that we have, no? This is based on what is expected. 'Di ba? Kasi meron tayong ini-expect na mangyayari, no? So, 'yun ang ilalagay natin doon sa ating proposal, no? So, what is your expected endpoint of your research? Okay? And if that will not happen, well, because there is data that we have treated, no? Okay? So parang ano siya, yung anong tawag diyan, na yung abstract, no, na ito yung buong konsepto ng ating research. Okay? Okay, thank you. Bye.
Salamat po.
Salamat po.
Doc.
Good night, everyone. Ay, isa pa. Sorry. Yung iba, okay lang. Share din to them na. Share to them. May 15 is our last day. Okay? So I have been telling professors, also please help, especially yung mga professors nyo from the main campus. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila sa MM Collab. Yung mga taga-main. Kasi nagbigay din ako ng mga, I need also professors from them. No? So, meron kayong mga professors na galing sa main. No? So our practice for MM Collab, di ba? We always, I always give you the grade. So please tell them, no? Tell them that meron naman na kaming group chat, no problem with that, no? But we have to remind, no, that lahat tayo dapat may grade. Okay? So dapat lahat tayo may grade. So paki-remind yung mga professors. And then also, you can make lambing with them na though ang ating schedule is February, March, tapos February, March, tapos April, tapos May. Though ang ating schedule ganon, it does not mean that lahat ng requirements will end by March. Kasi February, March, dapat March lahat meron na. Ang ating mga requirements hanggang May pa rin kasi isang semester naman eh. No? What differentiate is the semesters, diba?
Sure.
Kaya I told some professors na if they can adjust yung mga terminal requirements, unless kung ito ay reporting, kailangan talaga may deadline. No? Pero kung terminal naman na critical paper or something like that, no, na it does not need at this time to discuss or what, no, so maybe they can extend that dun sa May. Okay, so yun ang nakikita ko dun sa ibang professors na outside MM Collab. Okay? So,
Sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes, Doc.
Sir, you mentioned na kailangan may conclusion ng proposal. Diba? Hindi ba magiging bias ang researcher because the conclusion depends largely on the results at saka discussion mo. If you put unexpected results sa conclusion, parang bias ang research mo.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let us go back to the presentation in the memorandum. It is just simply what would be your endpoint based on your question. No? Of course, definitely it will change automatically once the data are treated or once the data are analyzed. No? But what is the end goal? No? What is the end thing? No? What is the end output of your research journey? No? So that is the expected conclusion, no? of the subject of the study that you are wishing to or attempting to explain. So I think the bias there will always be subject to the locus of control over the researcher. Remember in our discussion in research that there is the skin, there is the skin dip. No? So we always maintain neutrality and impartiality. So pag may data na, of course, everything else will be different. But at the moment when you construct your study based from your own problem, if there are hypotheses, and then what would be the conclusion? No? So that creates the framework. That creates the matrix of your study.
So, bali sir, expectations from the study will be part of your so-called conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So, hindi talaga conclusion. What do you expect from your study? Kasi we're talking about the proposal, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so the expectations of the researcher on the study will be part of the so-called conclusion of your research proposal.
On the proposed problems.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you. Good night. Great weekend ahead.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po, sir.
Bye, sir.